Welcome. Stage 2 of the Tour of Turkey. Fethiye is where we're heading today. It's a big stage, 206 kilometres, and it makes you wonder. An eye-watering distance, despite the gorgeous weather that we're experiencing here in Turkey. This is your route that takes us almost inexorably ever towards Istanbul, which will be our finishing city, of course, on stage 6. And this is your little stick of extra strong mints showing you exactly where our course goes today. The wind is blowing in, by the way, from the northwest. So a little bit of a headwind on occasion and turning into a side wind as we come around our coastline. It's about at about 117 kilometres in, we suddenly start heading due north, and that's where we're going to have a headwind. And in fact, that's what's knocked us back today. We're running quite slow, I'm afraid. So once our categorised climbs are dealt with, this is heading now in a northerly direction. We make a turn for around about the last 50 k's, something like that. We come through Bozier, and then it is down towards Fethiye itself, a place we know extremely well. They also know Brian in these parts because basically holidays here all the time, and you know, that's an echo that has been heard wide. I can tell you that much. He knows how to party, does Brian. Anyway, more on his falafel fetish after this. There's your profile. As you can see, the wind is also blowing up. The boats are bobbing, the flags are flapping, and indeed the breakaway are being brave. They've broken away. And it seems that they've decided to let the public onto the bridges, which is rather nice. Some of them looked overly secure yesterday, let's put it that way. The cordons are guiding us on a highway, and today we have 3 men up the road, and there doesn't seem a great deal of will to battle the wind to try and catch them. Their gap is 3 minutes, just shy of that, with 90 kilometres to go, and I can tell you we're about 20 minutes behind schedule. We should have passed 90 k's 20 minutes ago. So it's kind of knocked back today. I'm not really surprised because it's controllable, Brian, and with a headwind, everyone just wants to deal with the day. And what are your thoughts on 206 kilometres as one of 2 stages of over 200 this late in the season? It's asking for trouble, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think, you know, cycling is all about motivation, and the motivation to get in the breakaway. Okay, for the second day in a row, we've got Onur Balkan, the rider number 4, the Turkish champion. You know, he took the beauty sprint yesterday, and you know, that was the reason why he wanted to get in the breakaway yet again today. So the motivation is there for that rider. Maestri at the back for Bardiani. Bardiani, a very attacking team, always in the breakaways. They had 2 riders in the breakaway yesterday, so you know, looking for the King of the Mountains points. And then all of a sudden, you know, the race unfolded with 2 riders in front, and the Sceaux Brazil Pro Cycling team decided, well, they want a piece of this. The peloton were allowing the break to go away, and this man here, 91, jumped across to them with about 105 kilometres to go. So he had a bit of a chase to get across to the riders in front, because there are King of the Mountains up for grabs, and you know, he obviously wanted to be part of this party. But the reason why Maestri is in this breakaway is because of the King of the Mountains. The reason why Balkan is in this breakaway is because of the Beauty Sprints competition. The reason why the Brazil Pro Cycling rider there, number 91, is in the breakaway in the yellow is because obviously team orders. They say we want you involved with the action, and that's it. No one else. Everybody is predicting another sprint finish to finish in Fethiye. So it's going to be an interesting one. We've already had, just to bring you up to speed, Carlton, we've already had 1 King of the Mountain, a second category climb, and Maestri took that. The rider in the green there took the points, the maximum points, 5 points. You got to remember, Barbine took the King of the Mountains jersey yesterday. Balkan was second. Barbine picked up 2 points for 3rd place. So adding to that, he has 4 points. So the leader of that competition on the road is Maestri in the green. Molina for Akaru was in 4th position there. It was after the climb that the rider from the Brazil team jumped across, and we could see a battle between Afonso here and Maestri for King of the Mountains. It's only a 3rd category climb, 3, 2 and 1 points.
Well, I think it will. and it's going to reveal itself in about the next, 300 metres. They're just grinding up this incline. It's nothing too serious. Category 3 here. To be honest, it's if you ran over a phone book on some other stages, it would probably count on some races and not in others. This is not a massive test, but nonetheless, it's a pesky drag, and they're not willing to invest in it just for the time being. But I think it'll probably get lively. It looks like Alfonso Murillo is going to come over the top. The Brazilian, right now it's Mirko Maestri for Bardiani, who's on the front, with dead centre off the Turkish champion Onur Balkan, who's looking for the white jersey. There is a young riders classification here, but it doesn't carry a jersey. The white jersey in this competition doesn't look that different from the Turkish champions. National kit, there we are, 500 metres to go then. So yes, he's actually wearing the white for the beauty sprints. Yesterday's beauty sprint didn't exactly show off too much beauty. I'm afraid the camera angle at that time was not at its best, and we basically just saw some asphalt highway, but there was a really, really beautiful plantation, an ancient one I believe, figs and fountains that we didn't see, which is a real shame, because this is a spectacularly beautiful country, and we'd love to see it at its best. And so a bit of helicopter work on some of the nice stuff would be great, especially when you've got a beauty sprint. It's not just about the sprint, it's about the beauty. Anyway, that's just me. 2 minutes and 58, so 2 seconds shy of the 3 minutes mark there, holding station. I imagine that's going to pick up in a few moments' time, because with 250 minutes to go, they're looking a little bit lively. Murillo at the moment just moves past Onur Balkan, who knows that he's not going to be part of this little skirmish right now. The money has to be on Mirko Maestri, 25-year-old, probably the best experienced of those who are here. Murillo was runner-up in the Tour of Uruguay, by the way, so he's got a bit about him. Maestri lights it up first, the Brazilian is after him. He's in his draft at the moment, and he looks like he's got the strength to stay there. Will Mirko Maestri start to run out of juice, or can he sustain it? And the answer is the latter, and he is the former. So there he is, he delivers. And that's good news for the King of the Mountains competition, and something that Bardiani are clearly targeting, Brian.
Yeah, for sure. Maestri has taken the two King of the Mountains on offer today, a third category climb there, together with his second category climb. You just see he took it from the front, and just as expected, Afonso, who came across late to the breakaway, decided that he wanted to try and get some points. He wasn't strong enough to come over the top of the Maestri, so Maestri takes the 3 points on offer, which gives him 8 points for the day. No other points up for offer, so Barbine is in 4 points, so they have first and second in that competition. So it's a competition, as you say, Carlton, that they're targeting. So is Balkan. 2 days in a row, he's been in the breakaway. He's already taken the beauty sprint of the day, although we missed it. But he took the sprint from Maestri with Chernetsky in third place.
So if you say Balkan, you beauty, about right. Back in a moment. Welcome back. Looking at Murillo here, who's been busy today out front. Alfonso Murillo. He burned his legs, quite frankly, trying to get over to a breakaway that involved this man, Mirko Maestri, and Onur Balkan, the Turkish national champion. And so it's broken down on the climb. First to say thank you and goodbye for the time being, Onur Balkan, who'd already achieved his goal of the day, which was taking the beauty sprint and indeed assembling some points in the King of the Mountains competition, a competition that's led by this man, Mirko Maestri, after dominating on both of today's categorised climbs. There is still an intermediate sprint to be had, and indeed that offers up some bonus seconds, 3, 2 and 1. So we had a beauty sprint earlier on, we've now got the sprint prime, as it were. We'll go on to a climb, and with around 60 k's out, we will start to, we'll get to the peak of it, and then the drive in, which is down to town essentially in Fethiye, and I say town loosely, it's an absolutely spectacular harbour, protected as well by a little islet. And indeed the headland is absolutely glorious, and if you go up and over the top of the headland, as we will see, you might find Brian's Sun Lounger. Nobody dares touch it. It's got a saltire on it, and it's almost like a warning sign. Brian gets very, very tetchy around swimming pools. He likes his own space. But nonetheless, you love this part of the world, don't you, Brian? You're prepared to fight for it.
For sure. I've been coming here for quite a few years now, and yeah, absolutely love the place. Love being part of the presidential tour of Turkey, and it's because of that I come back and bring my family back, and they love it as well. It's an absolutely idyllic part of the world. We normally fly into Dalaman, half an hour, we're there, nice and easy, door to door. It's can't think anything better, and nice, relaxing, and it's just, you know, the food, the people, you know, the clear waters, everything is fantastic.
We saw a turtle earlier on today, by the way. Don't worry, it wasn't in a shop. No, it was hanging up. No, it was alive and well in this part of the world. And there are some turtle beaches here, of course, where they lay their eggs. And some a lot of them are actually nurtured. So they're, instead of just letting them leg it straight back to the sea, they're kept in feeder pens to raise them a little bit, so that the shells of the newborn baby turtles actually harden up, and they're not taken by predatory birds, which kind of just hang around the beaches, just waiting for them to emerge and then have a tasty snack. Yes, and it seems that turtle soup has kind of ebbed a little bit in terms of the menus globally, and that's quite good news, because they were very, very much endangered and have recovered, partially due to the raising pens that we have here. So you turn them into basically young adults before you let them go. I'm talking shell size about 30 centimetres, and then they're off. Nice and safe, likely to grow into fully grown adults, and then of course produce lots of more babies to be reared. It's great news. It's an environmental success story, and we like that. This man as well, great deal of success today, I think you might say. He's got himself into a jersey. He leads the King of the Mountains competition. Fizzy drink. Do you want a fizzy drink? No, I don't want a fizzy drink. Have a fizzy drink. Well, that's he's decided he is going to go for it in the end. He was asking for something else. I think he said, well, where's the Fanta? Or something along that. Cherry juice. I wanted cherry juice. Anyway, he's gone for a sweet drink of cola. Meanwhile, this man, Alfonso Murillo, is thinking, I quite like some of that cola as well. Maybe I'll just catch up with him. Might be some left. There was an edict yesterday about littering. Please don't litter in the beautiful countryside. If you've in a break, then please put it in your pocket or chuck it back in the car. And that's what's happening. Come and get this can. I think they must have issued some fines yesterday, Brian. They're very concerned about the environment in this part of the world, and quite right too. It is beautiful. We don't want it spoiling.
Exactly, and he's calling for some assistance, but I don't think the commissaire referee behind is looking behind him, and he's just looking at Afonso, and while this is happening, he's trying to get rid of the Coke can he's got. He's just going to throw it to a few people, and hopefully they'll... oh, he just missed the bin, but he threw it over towards the bin, thinking of that. But yeah, interesting situation now in this race. We had two riders that went away from the start. Onur Balkan, we just see this manoeuvre here. Just
it was a good shot. It was a good shot. I heard.
Did he get it in? I can't see it round the side.
I heard a tink of metal there. He may well have got 3 points for that.
Wow. Okay,
that's
so
it. That's in basketball terms.
Back to the start of the race, we had Onur Balkan from Turkey, Mirko Maestri at Bardiani, who's at the front. They went away. Afonso joined them. We came to the bottom of the climb, the second climb of the day, the third category climb. Maestri beat Afonso, resulted in Balkan sitting up, and I think is waiting. He's got his maximum points in the beauty sprints competition, maximum points there, and Maestri has taken maximum points in the King of the Mountains competition. So the quandary is, with 81 kilometres to go when they join up together for the second time today, of course, are they going to persevere? Because they know there's going to be a bunch finish. What else there is to fight for? We've got one other intermediate, or the only intermediate sprint of the day, with points and bonus seconds. I believe that the first beauty sprint of the day taken by Balkan, he's dropping back now. Maestri was second. Chernetsky up there, was a danger man, but I think he never read his rule book, because no no seconds on the beauty sprint competition, only in the sprint competition, which comes with 46 kilometres to go. So it's a situation. I think that's why they were deliberating there. His manager and Maestre. Will he continue? Will he stop? Will he wait? And he's decided to wait up for Afonso, and the duo are going to continue. I don't think they're going to have much success from today, apart from Maestre, who's already got the King of the Mountains jersey on his back, courtesy of winning at both the King of the Mountains. So he has to only cross the line in the end to take that podium spot. But what else is there to gain from today with one sprint and the sprinters teams controlling the front of the peloton?
Well, with 46 to go, we're going to have that intermediate sprint. They're going to get some points. Then with around, I think I misguided you by the way, with about 30 to go from the peak, we will, it's an uncategorized climb by the way, but possibly I think a bigger altitude gain than the climb we've just had. But it's modest, so it's a bit like you're seeing at the moment, a gentle raise in altitude, which is why it is not classified. However, once you get over the top, it's then a heck of a run down towards sea level, and they will have a big descent of around, well, they don't really finish descending for about 20 k's. So they'll be able to put some power back in the legs. As you can see, it's a relaxed pace today. Somebody yesterday on Twitter was saying very much has the feel of an end of term. That's no bad thing. But it certainly is a relaxed feel to the race so far, Brian. Save for the sprint, of course, which we'll have eyeballs out action later on, as we did yesterday. We
mentioned the word motivation. There's a few riders here with the motivation of trying to win a race, trying to win stages, and I know that Mr. Bennett, who won yesterday, has decided that he wants a good end of the season. He won the Munster Langiro in Germany, beating some top-class sprinters. Surprised himself. He's come here. There he is in the centre of the picture in the leader's jersey. He won yesterday's stage, Sam Bennett, the Irishman, and there's a lot of motivation, but there's a lot of motivation to come here to get the last of the kind of summer sun and try and keep the because the longer you can keep the season going, the less you have to train in some people's eyes, because you can take 2 or 3 weeks off and then you get back into it in November. So some people want to take a bit of a break, like Greg Van Avermaet stops early, but he wants to start earlier because of the classics. So each to their own.
We'll take a break. We'll be back and consider the bumps and bruises from yesterday. Welcome back. Just pondering those who may well be at the pointy end today. Just looking at Ahmet Orkun, who's the chosen sprint son for the Turkish national team. Reasonably quick, and indeed, I believe, heading to pastures new next year. So yeah, Orkun is going to, I believe, Israeli Cycling Academy. So undiminished though in terms of his pull, as far as the crowds are concerned. Not Turkish champion, but certainly a star turn, and stacking up, as you can see, with some gels here and being asked if he wants anything else. Looks like he's just about done. He's okay. In terms of his breakaway, Onur Balkan has also finished his duty. He's back with the pack, and the pack is running slowly today. Which, well, if littering is a problem, it seems like this man's in for a talking to. Welcome back, everybody. Turkish national team just issuing some sustenance to Ahmet Orkun, the man who's leaving for the Israeli Cycling Academy next season. So last time we'll be seeing him, unless they get the invite. I imagine they will, because Orkun is a bit of a star in this part of the world. Meanwhile, you can see we're down to 2 men out front, and that is because Turkish champion Onur Balkan, the teammate of Orkun, is now back in the pack. The gap's down to 2 minutes and 10, so it's a deliberate act by Onur Balkan. And these two have decided to push on, and they're going to take on the intermediate sprint. Just before we went to the break, you saw a few bloodied elbows, bandages and the like. That was from yesterday. In fact, we took some prisoners, I'm afraid. Hector Saiz, the Spaniard for Caja Rural, didn't finish yesterday, and neither did Justin Jules of Veran Classic. It was a real shame, because I think he would have been certainly involved in the top 10, possibly top 5, maybe even a podium as far as the sprint is concerned. Very quick young man from Veran Classics, but unfortunately Justin Jules is not taking part, didn't take the start today. Not alone, Alexander Porsev as well did not start this morning, I'm afraid. So as we head through the polytunnels here, to protect the soft fruits from the frosts, which you do get in the evenings here, we're nudging above 20 Celsius, and with a bright blue sky, it's just about perfect for taking your bicycle off the wall and getting it on the road. Absolutely beautiful. Other quick men who will be making up for yesterday, and we don't know how badly knocked about the likes of Marco Kumpf were, but he will be busy at the end. Yesterday it was Zerlo for UAD, the United Arab Emirates team, that actually pushed on. In fact, got himself a good finish, showing how much quality they've got at the pointy end of a fast day. And I think that UAD will be there. Consoni was also there, also a lead-out man for Marco Kumpf. Now, Kumpf is with the Red Helmets display team, it almost sounds like, doesn't it, of UAE. You can see them at the moment occupying positions sort of 8 to 12 by the looks of it. But yes, I think Marco Kumpf will certainly be one of those that will be taking it to Sam Bennett today. But Brian, I think we can expect a sprint, and Trek Segafredo did a lot of work yesterday. Edward Turns finishing third behind a very fast finishing Androni Zydemek. Ben Fato looked very good, actually, the youngster, yesterday. I think we are heading for more of the same that we had. It's looking like a fast man's day. It's largely intact after the climbs that started the day today.
It looks like we had a good sprint yesterday. It was a hard sprint. It was on the kind of Turkish paving stones, which aren't really that even, and it was slightly uphill. Sam Bennett won it quite easily, out-sprinting the young man from Androni, Ben Fato. But in third place was Edward Towns, and a little bit surprised that Trek Segafredo are put a rider towards the front. Maybe, you know, I would have sat back and saved a little bit more energy. No real danger in front now, and just to allow
a little bit of a dump.
Three riders from
afraid
Astana
onto the deck, and it's Chernetsky who is there, and it's Slubayev as well. They would have been useful for Minali a little bit later on, and well, they're issuing oaths, I'm afraid, around the team, and that is Stanilov, who's essentially, I think, accusing the Androni rider of causing this incident. We've no idea, but certainly he's got an opinion. Staying down on the deck is Sergei Chernetsky, who would have started this race, or indeed has started this race, as one of the favourites. Yeah,
for sure. And he got third in the first beauty sprint. I think thinking there was bonus seconds, no bonus seconds for that one, but yeah, that's the major concern for Astana. They want that man back on the bike, and they want that man back in the race, because he's on some really good form at the moment, and you know, could challenge for the overall. So unfortunately, sometimes these things happen in races. We do say it's about concentration, and okay, it's a kind of end of season race. The sun is out, everybody's relaxing. It's when you relax, a touch of wheels, that's all it takes. Down you come, and unfortunately, you can hear the ambulance coming as well, and the doctor there straight on looking after him, and for the moment.
He sent his teammates up the road, and it looks like he's got damage to his teeth. Asphalt is not chewy, I'm afraid. It takes it looks like he's taken a nasty hit. It's on his chin. He's in no hurry, Brian, and that suggests to me that having sent his teammates away, he doesn't really fancy going on. I'm hoping he's going to be okay. Very easy to break a jaw at the moment such as this. I'm just hoping it's something a little bit less than that, but there's no hurry here, is there?
No, I don't think so. He wants to get looked after first and foremost.
Let's have a look. Just watch the side of the road. Gosh, well, I'm just wondering whether some were taking a comfort break and others got into them. You can only speculate, I'm afraid. It's Marco Frapporti who was being harangued. But yes, I don't think this looks like a continuation, I'm afraid, and I'm really sorry for Sergei Chernetsky and also for Astana, who had him as one of their principals. They'll still have Jesper Hansen, André Zeitz as well, and a few other good cards to play, but this is a strong team that's just been hobbled.
Yeah, very much so. And as everybody knows, any kind of headwinds, obviously it causes a lot of bleeding, and it's whether they can stem that. That blood. Still a long way to go. 73 kilometres to go. I know the race isn't on in earnest, but they're taking the time, which is a good thing, to make sure that he's okay. I think by now, if he'd decided that he wasn't continuing, he'd probably take his helmet off and decide. But he's still in the balance whether Chernetsky will continue in this race or not. We hope he will, because he is one of these major contenders. But the race continues. Trek Segafredo leading the way as he did yesterday with Alfaci, and also towards the front you've got Bora Hansgrohe, who have the race lead as well. No real danger in front. We had 3 riders, now we've got 2. Mico Maestre is there with Afonso of the Brazil team. There is a sprint coming up with 46 to go, and with 2 riders in front. The first 2 bonuses have gone, so there's a 1 second bonus up for the 3rd place. It looks good again for Sam Bennett to potentially double up. I think Edward Towns didn't look as fast as Sam Bennett does yesterday, but obviously by putting 1 rider in the front, it shows that it puts a little bit of pressure on Towns to try and deliver, but it's going to be very difficult because Sam Bennett does look like he's on some good form.
He is. If you're talking about form, Eugenio Alfaci needs to, I don't know, he's not got the most luxurious moustache there. Let's put it that way. It looks like a caterpillar's gone awry and he's having a kip. 2 minutes and 1. I can't speak. Basically, if I try and grow a moustache, last year there was a sort of a charity thing going on in November. Movember, was that the year before, where you had to grow a moustache for charity. I ended up looking like Fu Manchu. Didn't look great, so anyway, I just gave the money anyway. 72.9 kilometres then from the line. Some teams who missed out yesterday will be hyper motivated to go one step better today. It's interesting as well to see just how busy Brazil cycling team are. They wanted to keep themselves very much in our minds. That's good. That's what it's about. You have to work for your publicity as far as some of the minor teams are concerned, which is why they were so busy to get in the breakaway. CCC Sprandi looked lively yesterday, and with František Zizar and Jonas Koch, I think that they've got a big option today. We'll take ourselves a break. About this time of year and about this time of day, we have a little bit of an issue with the solar eclipses. Not solar eclipses. It's basically, what am I talking about? It's sort of solar interference. There we are. I've finally got there. It was predicted and expected today, which is why we're seeing beautiful pictures of Cass where Brian keeps his yacht. It's not the biggest one here, but it is the most expensive. But yes, he charters it out, and it's extraordinarily reasonable, but it does come with 3 falafel, or falafel, or falafelao. Gorgeous headland of St. Nicholas. Yeah, this is a spectacular place, and if you're given to yachting, as Brian is, you can have some great fun in some of the coves here. In fact, if you charter a boat, and I hasten to add, if you want as a family, if you want to sort of lock it out and have it private, it's going to cost you. However, it is well worth it. It's absolutely beautiful. It's only going to cost you the same as an apartment in Saint-Tropez. Let's put it that way. But you will get it fully staffed. They'll take you to whichever cove you want. They'll set up your barbecue and the rest of it, and you are treated like royalty, and it's absolutely wonderful. So yeah, it's beyond my budget, but if you manage to muster about €6,000, you can have a week's holiday, and it'll take up to 12 of you. It's not bad. It's not bad if you divide it by 12. The trouble is, if you want a lockout, it costs him a fortune. He does get grumpy. 2 minutes and 7, and just look, this place has been occupied for so many millennia. Patara, the ancient city. This is glorious. You've got libraries, you've got the old marketplace, you've got the baths. You've of course got the theatre. In fact, 2 theatres, minor one, for minor productions, and then the larger productions. It's gorgeous. It's an ancient land, this, that is just, it reveals itself more and more the more time you stay here. And look at this, little dunes leading down to a powder sand beach. And the little raffia-roofed bars that you get here, where you can go and get yourself, I don't know, barbecued prawn and a chilled beer while you watch the sunset. Even at this time of year, where it's about 23, 24 Celsius, the temperature has risen to, by the way, as a max today. It's just ebbing a little bit now. It's spectacular, as was some of the performances yesterday, and not least Shane Archibald, the bullet mullet. He led out Sam Bennett to glory, and I think he's going to do pretty much the same today. However, other teams who were extremely lively. Here's your man who was involved in the crash, by the way, Marco Frapporti, and was blamed by Astana, did lots of jabby fingers at him, as if to say, you went down and you've taken down Sergei Chernetsky. Well, it may well have been Chernetsky's fault, who knows, but he needs medical assistance. He's got road graze upon his arm, and it looks like the way he's hanging it at the moment, this does not look good. I don't think it's particularly that he just wants a drink. No, he looks as if he's in a bit of pain. This is the sort of scaphoid type moment that you worry about, and when riders start really nursing their arm, it's not just about surface wounds, Brian, that you have to be very concerned about. It's bone structure.
Yes, indeed, and he was involved with that incident with Chernetsky, and I'm led to believe, from what I'm hearing on race radio, that Chernetsky looks as if he won't continue in the race, which is a big disappointment. We can just see Astana have already had a stop with a puncture as well, but I think with the doctor stopping with Chernetsky, it means that the Frapporti who was involved with that incident has got a wee bit kind of gravel rash, and he needs that looked after. But I just wanted to say that that beach we're looking at, Patara Beach, it's 12 kilometres in length and was voted one of the top beaches in the world by the Times Online, best of 2005.
Turtle Beach as well, actually. So that's why it's not overly developed. It's spectacularly beautiful, and if you go and have yourself a little fizzy drink, they do amazing sherbet here, and some of the flower teas are just something to behold. Here is Riccardo Minali. Now, he is the chosen son for the sprint for Astana. In fact, yesterday finished in 6th place, and will possibly be hoped to go better today, but he's lost some strong men, I'm afraid, from his team. I'm just wondering whether he was one of those that took a tumble. I'm just having a look to see if there's any kind of rips, tears or grazes. Don't bother looking at elbows, because cyclists' elbows generally tend to look slightly second-hand. In fact, I'm looking at Brian. See, you didn't take too many hits on your elbows. He knows how to break full, Brian, as well, from his days as the Karate Kid, but maybe that's got something to do with it.
I used to ride at the back and keep out of the way.
I think it's because you're ball shape and you just roll.
Yeah, you bounce. The faster you go, you bounce. I used to ride fast in these days and used to bounce along. But yeah, Minali's just stopped for a puncture, and he wasn't involved with the initial crash. But yeah, it's taken out the leader of Astana. Unfortunately, Chernetsky is now confirmed as out of the race, so they'll have to concentrate and possibly another rider for the general classification, but they do have Minali, who's making his way back after a puncture.
Consoni was also there, hovering at the back here. He went well yesterday, finished 7th just behind Minali, but that was because Kump was on the deck. And that late crash which equalised the times yesterday, save for the bonuses which were taken by those who crossed the line first. And of course that was Sam Bennett, took 10 seconds, which is why he wears the leader's blue jersey, the turquoise jersey. Turquoise, the stone itself, by the way, there's only one valley where it exists, and once it's mined out there is no more. Do you know that?
I do know. Where is it?
That I don't know. Caught me out. Look, I say what I know, all right? Don't ask me these subsequent questions. I'm going to find out now. I'm going to have to. because Brian's just exposed a lack in my knowledge of turquoise. Simone Consone just coming up as well. I do know as well that the turquoise paint, the turquoise colour, that blue, I believe it was an assembly of different petals, but from the borders with Syria and Iran, so similar kind of region. And it was used to illuminate ancient manuscripts. And the Book of Kells in Ireland has it. And it took one priest a lifetime to make his way all the way across, get the stuff, and come all the way back, so that they could paint that book. That's having a lifetime dedicated to get yourself a tube of paint. Brian's chosen commentary, which is good. Minute and 29. That's all they've got. They're on a drag. Told you about this drag, Brian. It's not an overly pleasant one to have to deal with. And in fact, this is just the introduction to a little plateau, as we're headed north, and indeed we're going to make our turn. However, there's an intermediate sprint still to be dealt with. We've still got 20 k's to go before we get there, for goodness sake. This is slow today.
Yeah, we've headed inland off the coast, off the beautiful beaches, and it does go up and down, and you can just see the road structure. It's big wide open roads, but the surface is quite rough and heavy. Anybody that rides their bike or races in this part of the world will say that, okay, it looks a relatively easy enough stage. Today's stage 206 kilometres, and traditionally when the Tour of Turkey used to go into Antalya area, Alanya, Antalya, into Kemar, we used to head inland, but more head inland up to the climb of Gogobeli, up to El Mali.
We went there.
This year they decided, well, we're not going up the tough climb at the end, so we're going to make the stage a little bit different. Head along the coast, head inland, go to the finish in Fethiye. But it means that the distance is 206 kilometres in length. But these roads are heavy, and as you can see, the riders, the wind is kind of predominantly in the riders' kind of faces, so it's not really helping them. But they're already approximately 20 minutes behind the race schedule, which shows you that some of these riders are finding this tough. Just
look at the side of the road here. It's sort of the gravel which they throw down on the road surface, which is what Brian was talking about. It really grinds. It's like sandpaper, and in fact it's loud as well. So it does have an abrasive effect upon the tyres as well, and at the end of a long 206 k's it may well be that you start to have some punctures arriving thick and fast. Welcome back. It's been a tough old day for some. Sergei Fursanov, you're looking at him right now, and he doesn't look hyper happy, does he? I'm afraid. Alexander Pursov has already pulled himself out of the race. And Fursanov himself looks like he's going incredibly slowly. No real pace about anybody else at the moment, because they're on one of these big drags. It's going to take us up to this rolling escarpment that will bring us to our intermediate sprint. In fact, our final proper altitude gain of the day. So if you think this climb is bad, we'll wait till you see one a little bit later on. But once we get to our correct altitude after 180 k's of racing, we'll then head back down, in fact a little bit less than that. So 64.6 kilometres of the day remaining. I'm waiting for this ski ramp into town, Brian. There are some very, very quick approaches on some of the stages that we have during the Tour of Turkey. Some of them almost look quite dangerous, don't they? Where they head on a highway that's arrow straight, as the Romans used to build them in this part of the world. And yeah, it can get very high speed. I think today is going to be one of those days.
Indeed, the road structure is getting better and better every year. We come to Turkey, you can just see that, you know, the road infrastructure is getting better and better, because over the last few years they've tended to keep the race just along the coast and go from kind of resort to resort to resort. But for sure they're looking at the road structure, and there is a lot of newer roads and you know, similar types of roads being built. But this road as we said, heads off the coast, heads inland, and pretty much goes up and up and up in small inclines, and it's a heavy road as well. And with only 2 riders in the breakaway at almost 2 minutes, the peloton are enjoying the heat. You know, it's you know, we believe that the weather out in the course is around 30 degrees in the shade, so it's a very warm day out there, and the riders know that a long enough stage is going to be another sprint stage, and a lot of the riders are just trying to kind of gather their strength for they know it's going to be a fast run in towards the finish in Fethiye.
It's getting warm as well as the wind has dropped here. Our weatherman Faisy, hello mate, he's sent us a picture of his elk thermometer from his position, and it's showing 30 Celsius. Obviously we have the blessing of air conditioning in our commentary positions here, but
it looks expensive. I thought it was dear.
Oh, you see, you're referring to something that people can't see, so I'm going to retweet it. That's Fazy's elk, but Brian's referring to it as a deer. It's a Brian joke, that is. You can see that the land here is rather scorched, so it's got that terracotta look about it. Shadows along though, but temperatures remaining high. Some would say rather unseasonally so, but it does have a long run into winter, and then all of a sudden, bang, it arrives, Brian. Don't get much of an autumn here. It's sort of summer for a long time until the switch is thrown, it seems, and then it gets very cold.
Yeah, I was here. Was it about 4 years ago, 5 years ago now? And I came in the first week of October, and it was perfect. It was like this. It was like 30 degrees, and then I think the penultimate day we were leaving, it really turned. The rain came down, and obviously winter started for them.
You
so
got away with it, didn't you?
Yeah, it comes abruptly. So but obviously this time of year, a lot of riders thinking of trying to get something out of race. There's a lot of motivated riders, a lot of non-motivated riders, but I think when the sun's out, nice temperatures, nice vistas as well, things like that, it kind of motivates the riders, and I think that's what the reason why a lot of them decided to come here.
Well, Vettel getting himself a puncture right up yesterday on stage 1, which is why he's nursing the the sprint jersey. As you can see, assembly of sprinting points available at the line as well, and the punctures are starting to happen, and lots of them as well. And that was Firstenov who had one as well, wasn't overly chuffed. And if you look at the wrists of the riders here, in fact, just as we say it, you can't see it. Can you see the chatter? And that's what Brian's talking about, the roughness of the road surface here. It's designed to withstand some great extremes of temperatures. It does get well below freezing in this part of the world during the depths of winter. And indeed, as you can see, or as you can appreciate, if it's 30 Celsius now, it's 40s in midsummer. But you can see the chatter of the road coming through the bike frame here, Brian. This is a gnarly surface, and it's starting to produce punctures. Yeah,
I think it's riding at the side of the road, producing the punctures because of kind of a lot of the debris at the side of the roads, and you can just see the peloton all on the right-hand side, and some of the riders in that kind of gravel and grit in the inside, which you try and stay away, but you just try and get as much shelter as possible, and you risk a crash. Okay, you've got a team car behind, and no real danger at this moment, but these roads are heavy. Like we said, everybody at races, you talk to them after the stage and things like that, and it's like, it could be a coastal road, head inland, and then on towards the finish. And many people say afterwards that it was a heavy day, although it didn't look too much on the route map.
Thanks to Tim Barthorpe, the original Turkish turquoise mines, Ottoman Empire and all that, were in the Khorasan valleys in the provinces, in that province in Persia. They're mined out. The latest find of anything that looked like turquoise was actually in Arizona, and that mine's closed because that's mined out. So all varying qualities, but the best and the original, of course, was Turkish turquoise, which is now gone. So there you are. There's only so much of it, and it's already on the market, unfortunately. But yeah, beautiful stuff it is. Like some of the minarets here have their domes actually covered in turquoise pieces, and so very spectacular they look too. Highly, highly expensive, and yet another change for this man. He's suffering today, I'm afraid. I think this is his third puncture.
We've already seen he changed his wheel just a moment ago, and he's changing it again. But
and about 20 minutes ago as well.
The reason for the turquoise jersey has been the race leader's jersey is because of the colour of the sea.
Yes, indeed. But the gem itself reflective of that. But yes, it is exactly that. Turkish blue, essentially. And it's our leader's jersey, we remind you as well. You're looking at the green jersey for now, which is the leader of the points competition. Although it is being nursed on behalf of Sam Bennett, who leads that competition as well as overall, having finished first on the opening stage yesterday. Well, they're not showing us the prettiest bits just for the time being as we head past the graveyard, but nonetheless, have some nutty snacks. Thank you very much. I haven't seen the nut seller yet at all. Looked for him yesterday. Where is he?
I think he must be tired after a very busy summer, because normally we see him at the start of the year and he's all really chirpy.
Yep.
But now it's October. I think he's made his money for the year.
Just look at that. That highlights exactly what you were saying about these heavy roads, as you call them.
Aye.
Yeah.
You know, you have them in Ireland, you have them in Scotland, and certainly got them here in Turkey.
Have them in Derbyshire too, actually. But, it does get a little bit rough just towards the edge here, and it's where highway traffic has basically just blown debris, and by that I just mean small little bits of stone and the rest of it, and they generally tend to find themselves just on the edge of the road. And later on in this race we're going to be going through a very dangerous area in terms of punctures for cyclists, where we go past some laterite, and that is smashed up, how can I put this, sort of broken, fractured flint, tiny little pieces, easy to cut a road through, but unfortunately if any of it gets on the road, and it's very easily done because it constantly crumbles with the wind, punctures, my goodness, you just get so many of them. In fact, 2 years ago we went through a particular cut in a mountain, and we stopped at the side of the road, and I actually showed Adam Probosz, our Polish commentator, this stone. I said, look at that, laterite. And he said, so what? I said, this is where we're going to get loads of punctures and the day's going to be won or lost. And he kind of gave me that, I think you're messing with my mind look. And then later on we came through the area, and I think we had 20 punctures in about a kilometre. So there you are, listen to your Uncle Carlton. 60 Ks to go, 2 minutes and 32. Brian's left, I think he's gone to find some nuts. We'll take that break, back in a moment, see what Brian brings us, shall we? 2 minutes and 32, we've decided to stay with it as Brian has returned. Is it Brazil nuts? They come from Brazil, mate. What are they? All right, we'll go with it. 2.5 minutes the gap. They're kind of being hung out to dry. They don't look hyper motivated, Brian, and neither does the chase at the moment. I think with such a long day, everyone just wants to get it done.
Yeah, exactly. It's the motivation. We do have a sprint coming up, but it's, you know, some points towards that competition in the points jersey. There's some seconds, but I don't think they're too worried about that. They're just on a pretty much kind of training pace. The two of them, they know that there's still just under 60 kilometres to go for them, a long way. They know the peloton is just bowling along, having a chat, enjoying themselves, enjoying the sun, collecting bottles, and you know, just looking at the next few days. But yeah, this race has been moved to this time of year, and it's purely down. We say it again and again. It's purely down to the motivation. Maybe if it was in end of April, we'd see them racing in it a little bit. But you have to look at the course as well. We've already had the beauty sprint, which we missed. We've already had 2 King of the Mountains. So when we come to this point of the stage, we've got 1 sprint with 46 kilometres to go, and then we've got the finish. So I think you have to look at, if you want to get these riders to race a little bit and have the competitions, you don't have them at certain points. Although when you look at a route, I mean, you go from the start in Cumluca to Fetcher, and you've got limited in roads. Well, it's what can you do, and where can you put the sprints in? So where can you put the climbs in? So it's very difficult for the organisers to plan things. But having only one sprint in the last 70, 80 kilometres, it's always going to be very difficult to get these guys racing. Not unless there was a larger breakaway down the road.
It's been some years since we've had the magnificence of the mullets on display. Our very own Greg LeMond used to race with long hair. It was all over the place. He's much neater these days. Shane Archibald, the bullet mullet yesterday, guiding Sam Bennett home. And Kyle Reinen really has gone for the long-haired look as well. Hair's been in the news of late, facial hair that is.
I thought you were talking about my legs.
No, I wouldn't ever discuss those. In fact, you shave, don't you, still?
No.
Or you just don't have hairy legs?
No, I still have hair.
Yeah, but there's hardly any there. You kept it on your head. I've got very hairy legs, but I've lost it on my head. I'd rather it was your way round, to be honest. Sean Kelly looks like like basically he's got cloud cover. He has he refuses to shave his legs. So yeah, when he goes out for a jog, or indeed one of his ride-outs, there is a miasma, a fog, hanging around him. He is really hirsute, yeah, all over as our Sean. He basically said, "I spend so much time shaving my legs. I'm not going to carry on now. I'm retired." So there we are. So Sean is refusing to shave his legs anymore. What about this facial hair argument that's been going on? Let's dwell on that just momentarily. Sport Vlaanderen have basically banned riders who sport beards, saying it's unhygienic. Can they do that?
Yes, only in Belgium apparently, or only in Flanders. I think it's kind of each to their own. We know that Simon Getschka has had a good career, and he has a good.
Still gets a banana in cleanly.
Exactly, it's down to how much you clean yourself, but it's yeah, a lot of the riders, and I do it now. I don't like to shave every day, and a lot of the riders through a stage race. Grow some hair and then have a shave, and they probably shave every 2 or 3 days. So it's it's a difficult one, but I can see coming from an image point of view, but I'm still out in that one, because the team that were mentioned is Top Sport, or the Sport Vlaanderen team, the Vlaanderen kind of development second division team, and yeah, a strange one, I think.
Yeah, no beards. If you want to be part of our team, it's as simple as that. I think they'll probably get them on European working regulations. Are you allowed to discriminate against beards? I'm not quite sure. But long hair, Brian, it's coming back. Shane Archibald's got a hell of a mane, and so has Kyle Reinen. Did you ever go for the ponytail?
I never quite got to the ponytail, but yeah, I used to have kind of longer hair at the back, but. For most of my life, I've been
a mullet. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, mullet.
Gosh.
Yeah, I used to have a little bit. It's a style. As younger person, you used to go through the styles, but nowadays it's normally kind of short backside.
You see, I could actually grow it long at the back, but being
being
bald on top, it would actually. What would it be then? A bullet?
A sweep over.
Only if I carried it forward. Maybe that's an idea.
But then you have to watch the wind.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. 56.2 kilometres. Dear old Archie McPherson that used to work for us at Eurosport, he had to come over, and whichever door he left the studios, depending on the wind direction, I think, he finally got rid of it, bless him, and just went properly Bobby Charlton, just like myself. 2 minutes and 30 is where we stand at the moment. And quite frankly, they're just standing on the pedals, aren't they?
Yeah, they're enjoying themselves, and obviously long stage today, late in the season, and 2 riders in front. It would be somewhat different if there was maybe 6 or 8 riders went on the attack, but it's there was 2 in the start. That was the Turkish champion, and he was only interested in the beauty sprint. He got that and decided, well, I'm going to go back to my friends in the peloton. I
Have a
was
chat.
off the front yesterday. I've won my sprint, and that's it. So Maestri continued on, took all the points in the King of the Mountains, so he'll have that to look forward to in 55 kilometres time at the finish. And with two riders in front, two riders at the front of the race, the gap actually came back to about 90 seconds. It's pushed out to another minute to 2.5. As you say, they're just kind of playing with the two riders in front. They don't want to bring them back because of this bonus sprint as well, and they'll just save their energy and push hard for the finishing line today.
And I think we're going to do the same. We're going to take ourselves a commercial break, and we're just going to go for one of these little sweetmeats that are being walked by here on a tray. They look good. Back in a moment. Welcome back. Xanthos, the ancient city. There we are. Yeah, many thousands of years old. In this part of the world, you kind of wander around and you think to yourself, upon whose footsteps or footprints am I actually standing? And it is quite remarkable. There's an ancient villa right now. I wonder when they're going to finish it. A lot of filming went around in this part of the world as well. Jason and the Argonauts. Do you remember that? The famous skeleton fight. Yes, the likes of Tim Barthorpe know all about it. We'll come back to that in a little moment. So once we've dealt with that, we'll come to Brian for his holiday roundup. City of Xanthos, absolutely beautiful. You see they've lined out the stones here, those that they have found. They've been marked up for reassembly. If indeed that it remains possible. This is a little amphitheatre, and it looks like a suggestion of a circus as well. There's certainly some entry ports there. But yeah, absolutely beautiful. You can't help but stumble across history here, right?
Yeah, you can come for obviously your nice holiday, but also a good reminder that there's some really nice ancient history around, some day trips to be had, and it will just blow your mind. You know, we had an opportunity a couple of years ago to go to Ephesus, and it's just, your imagination just runs riot when you think that how people lived in those days. And the thing for me is how they managed to build these temples and various other structures when obviously they never had the tools that we have these days.
They had a great deal of labour, and the old pulleys and the rest of it. But yeah, it was hard work, must have been. But so careful with the structures completed that many of them still exist. And if you have a look at Ephesus, as Brian was saying, not the beer Ephes, you can buy that there, but Ephesus. You'll be quite mind blown. We certainly were. When you're walking down a high street of stone, you realise, and quite a substantial one as well, just how impressive it is. And yes, marble as well was used in vast quantities, and so smooth paving. It's just bizarre, but wonderful. By the same margin, by the same token. It looks like nobody really fancies taking any of the drinks here. Jarosson Pantano has been on water duties for quite some time now, and now he's offering bidons to anybody. Do you want it? My team don't want it. Fancy it? No. Anyone? No.
There's two ways of doing it.
And now he can't throw it because the commissars have told him not. So he's got to go back to the car and put it back in.
Do you know there's two ways of doing this water duty?
The drift back. You're going to tell me about that.
Either you go all the way to the front and drift back.
Yep.
Or you give them out as you go up the peloton.
Yeah, he's beginning to think he should have given them out going up. Because right now he's on a drift back and he can't find anyone. It's like, where are they?
He's drifting to the wrong side.
I know. They're on the other side. He's going to go all the way back, and then he's going to have to come all the way back up again.
Yeah.
That was bad drifting.
Double trouble.
Yeah, what will they have today? I haven't seen any of... They haven't required the ladies' stockings filled with crushed ice, which you often see as cooling mechanism, where you pop that little pocket of ice onto the back of your neck, and it magically just starts to melt It's almost the perfect material for it. And then if it's right on the back of your neck, then it will start to seep the cooled water down either side of your neck, so both jugular, each side. And then, yeah, it's quite a remarkable cooling system. You couldn't invent a better one, really. But today, not hot enough for that, but still just coming out for a peak of about 30 Celsius. Indeed, we're now down into about the 26s in the sort of late-ish afternoon here, as we start to think about early evening and what we're going to have for dinner. I didn't see what you picked off the barbecue table last night, Brian. Care to illuminate us?
A bit of chicken, but I'm really into my moussaka these days.
Are you?
Love it, yeah.
They do a very good moussaka in these parts. Yes, I'm not sure whether it's lamb or goat, but it doesn't matter. It's absolutely fantastic. They're shish kofts as well, which are sort of mincemeat, which are then formed around a skewer and then barbecue. That's what I went for.
Yeah, chicken shish was nice with the salads, the
beautiful
feta salad.
Yeah,
really
and
nice.
all these tzatzikis and hummus and various other bits, and pistachio hummus as well is just don't start me, quite frankly. It's although I say this, it's I quite like that sort of barbecue food. It really feels like you've extended your summer by coming out here. When winter does come, though, it comes with a bang, so make sure you time it right, otherwise don't blame us, but it is gorgeous. 50.5 kilometres, 2 minutes and 1, and still they hang out here, and they don't look overly stressed, this pair. I think they might have their fun, because our intermediate sprint, Brian, is nearly upon us.
Yeah, the thing is, it's points and seconds. Are they going to benefit from it? We had a battle in the third category, King of the Mountains. Maestri got the points from Afonso. Balkan was with the original two riders in front, but he decided that I'm Turkish, I'm the Turkish champion, I know the roads, and I don't want to be in front for the last 90 kilometres with only three of us. So he decided that he'd done his job for the day, head back to the peloton. He'll fight for another day, but unfortunately for Mirko Maestri, the Italian rider riding for Bardiani, and Murillo Afonso, both sitting just 10 seconds off the overall lead, but with Selçuk climb coming up, I don't think they'll be battling for the overall, so I think we may see them just kind of rolling over this sprint, saving their energy, and maybe with 20-25 kilometres to go, we will see a gradual acceleration in the pace from both the peloton and the two riders in front.
Thanks to Emma. There is no I in Archibald. It is. I keep calling him Archibald. The reason is Steve Archibald is one of my favourite Scottish footballers, and Brian is much appreciative of his talents as well. So yeah, Shane Archibald. Must remember to stop adding in an I, but thanks Emma for reminding me. Back in a moment. Welcome back. Thanks to Brian for bringing in the backlover. The best backlover, by the way, on the planet is over towards the Syrian border here in Turkey, but we're the other side of the country, but nonetheless. Alakat, and indeed like one, somebody's going to spring out from this pair, and maybe out of the pack, because we've got an intermediate sprint coming up about 1,700 metres before we get there. Indeed, 2 minutes later, somebody's going to be tempted to grab an extra bonus second, Brian.
You would think so. We had the first beauty sprint earlier on today with two riders in front. Balkan and Maestri took the first of the points and the seconds. Chernetsky jumped from the peloton and took the third place, but unfortunately he never read his book. There's no seconds for the beauty sprints, but there is one for the sprint coming up. One of the intermediates counts towards the points competition, and also 3, 2 and 1. So Maestri and Afonso will take the 3 and 2 seconds. What way around, we'll have to wait and see in this, but I think that there may be a little bit of a skirmish for the peloton for sure.
Well, it's also tight, Brian, that you can take a big vault forward in terms of the overall, because everyone was given the same time yesterday due to the crash, save for the bonus seconds that went to Sam Bennett. Indeed, Ben Fatto and Edward Tuns, they took the bonuses yesterday, which is why they're such an elevated position, it seems, overall. It's opening stage, of course, so that's the way it was. The 10-second bonus that went to Sam Bennett stands, and just about the entire field are at that deficit. So if you can find a second today, it wasn't just your finishing position yesterday that gives you your overall. You will vault. Let's say they all finish together today, and here we go. It's getting busy, and it's Murillo that goes for it, opens it up. He's been hanging on the back wheel for quite some time of Bardiani's Mirko Maestri. Mirko's coming back though, and I think he's probably going to be favourite to take this one. He's got the strength. Now then, he's got to get into that endurance mode, and does so. And Murillo appreciates that this is not going to be his game to play, I'm afraid. And there it is. Mirko Maestri comes across the line, gets himself 3 bonus seconds, 2 bonus seconds going the way to Alfonso Murillo, and now there's a lonely second up for grabs. And because everyone is so tight together time-wise due to the crash yesterday, Brian, most of the field is 10 seconds down. Somebody will only be 9 seconds down when they cross the line next. That's useful.
Every second is going to count. We've already seen it yesterday. Ulisse going for the time bonuses as well. But on this sprint, Alfonso went early. He thought he would try and outfox the other rider, the faster man, the stronger faster man, and that's Maestri. But unfortunately, Maestri showed that he is the stronger and faster of the two. He's already showed Alfonso a clean pair of wheels on the previous King of the Mountain sprint, and does it in the flat again. So Alfonso, a long hard day for him. He missed out in the breakaway earlier on. He went across to it, battled out for some King of the Mountains points, lost out to this man, and lost out again in this sprint. But they'll battle on, but I suspect there'll be a couple of people thinking about it. You can just see a few teams having a look now, having a look around, and I'm sure that we'll see possibly Ulisse in the red helmet. He jumped for the 2 seconds yesterday, so he might look for another second today.
Yeah, certainly, and it's going to get lively. They're getting very cagey here. Sam Bennett and Bora Hansgrohe, to be honest, it would be, it could well be some of the sub-teammates. They're starting very, very long here, and UAE are going for this. And indeed digging very, very deep. That's Diego Ulisse, centre line at the moment. You can see the Austrian champion Mühlberger is also battling for this as well to try and deny him, and he finds a second. That is useful. Diego Ulisse gets the last second there. The Austrian champion Mühlberger was on duty on behalf of Sam Bennett and Shane Archibald to try and stop him. Just failed to do so. Useful bonus.
Yeah, he took it on from the front. It was a good lead out, and Ulisse taking a 2 second bonus yesterday. We knew he would be up for this, but he beat a couple of fast finishers. Ben Fatto on the right hand side there just gives up. Mühlberger trying to take the seconds away. He's another rider that could feature in the Selçuk climb. So Mühlberger, the Austrian champion, climbs very well. He already recognised that Ulisse was the man, decided to follow him. That's the Austrian champion in the white jersey. He goes to the right. Ulisse goes pretty much down the middle, and he's got a fast sprint on him and holds off Mühlberger. So, as we expected, few riders trying to go for the bonus seconds, and Ulisse takes the last bonus.
Just look at the advertising hoarding there that's being that is in the sky. As you can see, they've cut some vents in it to stop it blowing away and ripping itself down. The wind is blowing. We're at high ground at the moment. We will be for about another 7k. Then we're going to make ourselves a turn. We're not that far away from making that turn. The road does wander about just a little bit, but generally speaking, we're heading northwest or north at the moment, northwest in fact. So we're just about into a headwind, and you could see as well the way it was billowing. We switch around just a little bit, but then we're going to make this left-hand turn, so it become a side wind. And indeed, then when we finish today, they could get some wind assistance in the very, very last part. The road does meander, Brian, but nonetheless, the wind is starting to pick up in the afternoon here. We're getting something called vectoring, which is bringing the breeze in stiff.
We're also getting some racing because 2 riders clipped off there. It was shut down there by Schwarzman of Bora Hansgrohe, but Yeah, it just needs a sprint like that at the right time, and it kind of wakens up the peloton. And you know, one sprint with 46 kilometres to go. The last sprint was the King of the Mountains sprint about 90 kilometres ago. So that sprint kind of woke up the peloton a little bit. We saw some attacks there, but straight away Alfacci comes to the front with Leopold Koenig. Just putting some order to the front of the peloton. No more attacks, but there was a few riders up for that there, which just goes to show you that we may see some skirmishes later on in the stage, because everybody will know that having 2 riders in front is going to go down to a bunch of sprints. Sam Bennett looking strong, and I'm not saying unbeatable, but he certainly looks the fastest in the peloton at the moment, so why not have a go in the running?
Yep. And indeed, we'll have a few more, and we also have some quick men missing. Justin Jules from Verne Classic did not finish yesterday. Not starting today, Alexander Poursev. They're 2 real, proper, feisty battlers. Poursev from Gazprom, who won't be taking part. Mirko Kump was on the deck yesterday. He'll be back up, but you never know how a tumble like that affects you. Edvard Toons has got to start as one of the favourites today. Trek Segafredo did a lot of work yesterday, Brian, but they ran out of steam at the very end, unfortunately. Edvard Toons finished in 3rd place, but they just mistimed it, I think. The timing was perfect for Bora.
Yeah, it was. It was Trek Segafredo, Boy Van Poppel, that was leading out Toynes, and he had the best lead out, but unfortunately they had Shane Archbold, the Kiwi, helping out Sam Bennett, but also on Sam Bennett's wheel you had Perlucci. Perlucci also finished up there, so as we speculated a little bit yesterday, Perlucci looking after himself, top 10 again, could be the another performance for him today, but a difficult day for these 2, but we're expecting a bunch finish here in Fetcher.
That was nice. He said, I don't want to gel. He said, put it in your back pocket and give it to some of the guys when you're drifting back. All right then. Take a break. Welcome back. Just over 40 kilometres to go. 19 is your gap. These guys have, to be honest, I don't really know what they can gain from this, save for, of course, allowing their teammates to keep something in the bank and not have to chase on. It's not an overly dedicated chase, and it hasn't been. Look at the chain chatter you're getting here as well on this rough surface. You look at the horizontal lines of the driving links, and you can see they're banging up and down. And look at the wrists here as well. It's a wearing surface, I think it's fair to say, and as a result it's having an impact on these guys in terms of their fatigue levels. When you talk about a heavy road surface, it takes an awful lot more power to actually grind over the top of it. Roads can look flat, Brian, but if they're gnarly like this, which offers up great grip levels to commercial vehicles and the like when the heavy rains come, which is why we've got some greenery around here, of course, because the heavy rains do come. But for cyclists, it can be an unkind surface, because to get the same distance, it's a lot more effort than you'd have to engage with on a smoother surface.
Yeah, for sure. Every cyclist, when they come onto a really new tarmac roads, nice and smooth, they feel, you know, faster, and it does feel faster for the riders, whether you're out training or, you know, in a race. But these roads, you know, kind of heavy roads, you have to kind of dig in a little bit, and you know, they can up and down, and it's just these riders have been out front from the start of the day. It's a long day for these riders, obviously a long day for everybody. They're over 20 minutes down in the schedule at the moment, but I'm pretty sure it'll be a fast and hectic finish, because there's a lot of riders that are kind of raring to go already. We had a sprint there with 46 kilometres to go, and we've seen some counter attacks that went straight afterwards. So that shows me that there's a few riders thinking about it, want to get in the race, but as professional riders do, they only push hard when they think they can gain an advantage.
Yep. Well, for the time being, these 2 guys are no threat, and I think the only thing they're buying is potentially an excuse for their teammates. So who from Bardiani then? Well, Enrico Barbin, not bad at all. And indeed, Paolo Simeon as well could go quickly when they need to. Minute and 22 then. It's just slowly but surely winding in, and we haven't made the turn just yet, so we're still at a reasonable altitude. Maximum above sea level today was only 600 meters. And the first climb, we achieved that. We climbed almost the 600 meters in 10k, so it was a pretty stiff challenge at the beginning of today. Sadly for you at home, you didn't see that, because we've joined the pictures a little bit later on today, just as we're heading towards this sort of lumpy finale. We will be making the turn, well, fairly soon, to be honest. We're going to be starting to head in an easterly direction, and then when we have about 4 kilometers to go, basically we just make a turn down towards Fethiye and the lovely harbourside finish that we have today. It's not overly technical, but there is a turn that will bring you to the very, very straight finishing straight, and that's at about 550, 600 meters to go. In fact 550 looking at it right now.
545.
0.8. Brian measured it out earlier on today by just putting together his little chicken wraps. Just the empty packets. Anyway, so yeah, it's a right-hander coming at that point, 550. But yeah, it's going to be busy, and there's a couple of technical turns along the way. Just after the 4K banner, there is a rather nasty right-left. There are two more or less 90-degree turns that they have to take before that actually brings us to the harbour side proper, into the bay, if you like, of Fethiye. We then head past all of the businesses and shops and the like until we get down to the marina area, and just as you approach that is that final turn, that right-hander. This is, I'm fearing actually for this man. He was hanging his wrist and it looks like it's a proper sprain. He's not very comfortable. He was the one that was involved in the tumble that took down Chernetsky. Who's to blame? I've no idea. However, this is proper strapping that's going on at the moment, and the rough surface that we've got, Brian, if you have got a strain, it's going to magnify the pain for you. Yeah,
of course it is. It looks as if he's got a little bit of ice there, obviously feeling a bit of the swelling, so they're wrapping some ice, some bandages over the top to try and keep the swelling down, but just look as if that's happening now, he's going to suffer not only kind of later today, but especially tomorrow.
Yeah, indeed, because he's going to be pulling on the bars good and proper. It's a rolling stage tomorrow to Marmaris. Then we start to head for our big climbing day to Selçuk. Izmir beckons on stage 5, and then Istanbul for the 6th and final stage of this great race, the 53rd Presidential Tour of Turkey. Puncture by the looks of things. Is it yet another one? He's rolling on, just waiting. I think it's front, just waiting. In fact, he's doing exactly as he should. He rolls until his car is nearby, and then takes the wheel out and waiting, and the car just shoots past. So unfortunately they've kind of missed him, or he's missed one. I think they've got 2 cars, and here it is. So yeah, he could have rolled on a little bit further. That's why he was looking slightly disappointed. That wasn't as well marshalled. I was waiting for the other car, he said. Maybe he mistook the race director's car for his own team car, both being red. That's what I'm going with.
Okay, so that's your excuse. Yeah. Sometimes
basically it was a mess up.
Not only riders fall asleep a little bit, also in the cars behind. So puncture straight up, no real panic, and for this man here, Samli, he'll get back to the peloton just in time, we hope, for the speed of the race to kind of pick up a little bit. But I don't think it'll pick up until about the 20 kilometers to go mark. Yeah, I think they've got to make the turn, and when they do, that's when it's going to get very, very lively. That's going to come reasonably soon, but I think it's about yeah, I think 26. There'll be here. I'm going to tell you when it's going to be. It's going to be at 28 k's to go at that marker, because somebody is going to push to get over the crest, because it's largely downhill all the way from that point. So
If these guys were going to get caught, I think somebody might have some ambitions out of the main peloton. 90 seconds only is the gap, and in fact they're within sight, this pair, on one of these straightest sections of road where we're about to make the turn. When you come over the top, Brian, we've got this long flowing descent down towards Fethiye, and it can get quite busy. Luckily it's dry today, and grip levels, as you can see, are rather high.
What do you mean luckily it's dry today?
Well, I'd hate it if it was wet on that descent, is what I'm trying to say.
Normally dry.
Well, it is, yeah, it's parched, but all right.
You don't get a lot of rain in Turkey.
Well, you were saying that it does come with a bang, but you never know. I've been here when it's been wet. Once.
What, for about 10 minutes?
It was about 10 minutes, yeah. But all right, steamy. Anyway, we don't have to worry about moisture today, thankfully. It is. Look at the average speed today. Half a devil, 33.3. Well done if you've been with us throughout the day on this end of term race, as we've been christening it. But yes, it's been slow today, so well done to you if you stuck with it. Two up the road, everyone else in chasing mode, or they would be if they were motivated just for the time being. They're not, but they will be. There's a lot of riders who will have a lot of power left in the legs after what has looked like a punishingly long day. They've not allowed it to beat them up, have they?
Well, exactly. When a race is slow, nobody likes the slow part, but as soon as the race starts to get a little bit lively, everybody has power in the legs, and they believe that they feel good. But when you feel good, you got to remember that many others feel good, especially in a kind of slow stage like today, and especially they're just most of the riders kind of sitting in the peloton, following the riders from Bora and Trek Segafredo at the front. But as we were saying a little bit earlier, it's not an easy run in. It's kind of lumpy, no real action. The previous sprint there, we saw some attacks afterwards, which again says to me that there's some riders and teams up for this stage, but they won't burn their matches until they think that they can benefit. And I think it's going to be a late attacks inside the last 20 kilometres. Sitting in a peloton, if I was a professional rider, sitting in the peloton behind, I'd want to try and gain something from today. If I wasn't a sprinter, didn't have a sprinter in the team, I would think about some late attacks, maybe having a word with a few other riders, and I think that's what we're going to see in the run-in today.
We're just coming by some big cuts through the mountain here. The outcrop of laterite on the right-hand side here. This is that sort of highway descent that we were telling you about that's going to start to welcome everybody. This is a little sub-peak that we've got at the moment. So we'll bounce at the bottom of this descent, and then we'll take on the last climbing test of the day before we come into town. That's laterite. This is what I was telling you about. It's like fractured flint, lots of it. And look at it at the side of the road. It's not nice, and in fact we're getting a road surface view from our camera art shot here. I think we may have some punctures a little bit later on. In fact, about this point. Anyway, we'll see. It looks like they've actually swept the road rather clean, which is nice. You certainly don't want to be using the edge of the road here, because that's where you'll find it. It looks like gravel, but it's actually sharper than that, because each little piece of that gravel is like a flat little knife. Doesn't affect road cars, but certainly tyres, but it certainly affects bicycle tyres. 1 minute and 46 signs for Fethiye, and indeed a big turn at the junction, as you can see. We're about to take a left-hander, and a splendid Turkish flag just showing where we are. In fact, it's the Klos ancient ruins. Some more modern than others. In fact, some of these were used as viewing towers, even sort of towards the Second World War and all that. But yeah, I guess vantage points, they never change, do they? No matter what the period, whether it be ancient or indeed modern. And you can see it really is a proper vantage point as well. And these hardy folk have got themselves a good view. What have you got for us, Brian? On Klos.
I'll come back to you on that. But
that's Brian's brain fizzing as he starts to read. But anyway, it's old. As I'm sure you know, it had a big bath complex here as well. Meanwhile, these guys are on this descent. Stay in the middle of the road, guys. You want to stay safe from the laterite. There you go. Minute and 43. They're finding a bit of pace here. And in fact, I think those who are out front have done more than their fair share of the work today. Some orange groves here as well.
Well, you're right saying it was old. It says Schloss is believed to be one of the most important religious Lycian sites, and settlements on the site is said to have begun more than 4,000 years ago.
There you go. Told you. Yeah, I was there. 33
That's why
points.
they use the word ancient.
Really?
To us.
I see, yeah, that'll be it. It's amazing what survives here because of the climate, I guess. They don't have that sort of a degrading climate, I guess you might say. So yeah, the lack of moisture here plays havoc if you want flowing water all over the country. But nonetheless, makes for an extraordinarily pleasant environment, especially this time of year if you fancy coming over. Trek and Bora, they're really expected to do the duty because as the favoured teams, and a little bit of discussion going on as well as they're trying to drag Androni Zylemek into a little bit of action to assist on the chase or the pursuit at the moment. It came down to about 1:15. It's drifted back out to 1:40. No panic just yet. I don't think we'll have any until we get with about 28 kilometres to go. So in 5k's time, that'll be our breakaway, and shortly after these guys. And it's Trek and Bora who are on marshalling duties right now. Who's going to be the cheeky team? Sprandi Polkovici is my guess. The men in Tangerine, I think one of their number is going to have a go. And I think that'll be to try and get over the top and then do a cheeky one all the way home. I imagine there will be some on guard duty here. Cairo Roral are given to doing that sort of thing as well in their green and white. So yeah, I think there's going to be some teams that decide they're going to roll the dice. After all, it's a breakaway day tomorrow where we have a downhill run to the line. We've got one today as well, Brian.
Yes, Leopold Koenig still on front. He was on duty yesterday. He dropped off in the last few kilometres. Alfacci just sitting in second place, but more numbers up here for Trek Segafredo. Then you get a race leader, Sam Bennett, in the aqua or turquoise jersey. Sorry. And further back, you get a lot of riders just been sitting there, and sitting there all day and waiting for opportunities. And I think in the last few kilometres we may see some attacks, and we've already seen attacks from CCC after that sprint. Veren Classic also was involved there, so a lot of riders thinking of opportunities, because if it comes down to a sprint, unfortunately Sam Bennett still stands to be favourite.
Yeah, he does. Just looking at Boy Van Poppel will be doing a great duty for him as he did yesterday. Sorry, that's for Edward Tones, I should say. But yeah, it's going to be busy. Tones was released at the right time, but just ran out of juice essentially, right at the very last. Ben Fato was very, very quick yesterday, but was magnificently well positioned. And I think as other teams just started to bump and bruise, and you got some slowing riders as part of the lead out, some had their lines disturbed, but Bonfato just kept it sensible, and in fact was near his man to Sam Bennett at the very last. Shane Archbold was brilliant up towards the barriers, and I think he'll be there again. I didn't put the I in, I said Arch. Yeah, there we are. Brian with the notice finger went up there. But yes, Archbold did a good job. It's hard to sound like you dropped the I, but yeah, I have. 32 k's out, 91 seconds the gap. Time for a little bit of a chit chat. This is Mirko Maestri. Rhymes with pastry. In fact, Brian was enjoyed a little shredded bird's nest. Looks like a sort of shredded wheat, but with honey on it, filled with crushed pistachios. How was it?
Lovely, absolutely lovely.
Yeah, there you go.
A little bit dry, but yeah, it was lovely. The yogurt went down well with it.
Honestly. There we are. A little bit of a salami sandwich by the looks of things. A bit of cheese in there as well. Wash it down with this, mate. Thank you very much. Gosh, well, today it's not exactly been action-packed. We've had a few active moments, but frankly, it's been it's felt a bit like a transition, really. Do you think they should have had shorter stages with bigger connections along the way? Because essentially every finish town is the next day's start town as we move east.
Well,
West, I beg your pardon.
If this race was at its traditional time of year, and the reason why it's been moved is because of the security problems that the country's had, and maybe they would have raced it. I think they would. Maybe they have to look at, because you got to remember over the last couple of years it's been new organisers, so they're still learning. I don't know why they had new organisers, because the organisers they had in the past I thought were brilliant. They had a really good race. So it's if they'd have put some bonus sprints, maybe 2 or 3 now, or something similar. But by moving a race, you never know what the motivation is with the riders. And the riders know that they're on a slow schedule. They're not in a rush. They know that the 2 riders are not going to stay away towards the finish, and it's going to come down to a bunch finish. And pro riders only push hard if they think they can benefit. And the rider that's benefited the most from today is the rider in green, Mirko Maestri. He's won the 2 King of the Mountains on offer today. He takes the jersey off his teammates back, Barbine, who took it yesterday, and they've had a good day so far. Afonso being part of the breakaway, but unfortunately he won't take anything from today's stage. Sam Bennett could be doubling up from his stage yesterday, so it's he can look at all races and pick them apart. This stage shouldn't belong, this stage should have gone here to here to here. Maybe you didn't have to have as long a stage, 206 kilometres at this time of year. Maybe they should have gone for 8 stages instead of 6 stages. There's a lot of ifs and buts. We have to deal, and the riders have to deal with what they're dealt with at the moment, and I think the organisers will possibly take note that maybe this time of year they don't put a 206 kilometre stage in. But then again, on the towns that we've been in today, where could another possible finish be? Because they're wanting to show off their country. But I think over the last few years, the Tour of Turkey has been somewhat longer in the amount of days, so they can cover this area. And I think they're by cutting it down, I think that's maybe where they've gone a little bit wrong. Cutting the down, increasing the distances, and at this time of year, you can see the riders aren't so motivated about racing the whole distance.
Yeah, exactly. Especially 206 Ks. There's another very long one to Selçuk, by the way, on stage 4. Day after tomorrow, that's 204 Ks. So yeah, tomorrow's 129, so it should be far more punchy and dramatic. As Brian said, you essentially you have where we are, which is the tourist areas, essentially the western part of this beautiful country. And you strip out 2 stages and take it down from 8 to just 6. And I guess also moving it as it was from the springtime to essentially the autumn, European autumn. What you're doing is there would have been some cities on a promise from the original starting time, and they all have to be dealt with. All of these places want to be seen, and indeed it's all about the businesses therein, which is what this is all about. Nonetheless, 30 Ks to go. It's going to get lively. It's getting cagey at the moment. Nobody really wants to do too much work to wind these guys in. So yeah, battle stations soon. One of the ambulances just being guided through here. Of course, I'm assuming that that's not a rider on board. I haven't seen or heard anything untoward today so far, despite some of the bumps and bruises we've had. Let's talk about that, Brian. Some were on the deck yesterday, like Marco Comfy was clearly the man that they were teeing up. We saw him on our screens earlier on today. He looked intact. Didn't look like he was carrying any bandages. Some others from UAE Emirates most certainly were. Concerni and Zerlo had good finishes yesterday, so they had the power. Can Marco Kumpf deliver today and maybe at least start thinking about a podium on the day?
Yeah, I think they have to think about doing something. They've had something out of today already, with Diego Lisi taking another 1 second. They'll be happy with that. He wants as many seconds as possible, and you know, he won't want it. The fact that Chernetsky has climbed off today because of his crash, he was a big danger man, but there's plenty of other danger men in this race. But UAE Team Emirates have come here with one goal in mind, and you could see that yesterday with Lisa taking the second in the one of the sprints, take the 2-second bonus. They're here to try and win the race. They'd love to try and get a stage win, either with Consoni. They had Zurlo up there yesterday as well, so they'll have a go. But it's how you beat Sam Bennett. Sam Bennett showed yesterday he is the fastest. Marco Benfato of Androni got close yesterday. He was the closest. I'm afraid that Toynes was well beaten by Sam Bennett, but then again, today's another day. It's a long day, and some riders recover a little bit better, and I think that took a lot out of Sam Bennett yesterday. He looked as if that was a hard sprint for him yesterday, and I think Trek Segafredo are hoping that in the second day Edward Theuns feels a bit stronger and may be a little bit closer.
So time to make a turn then. You can see the wind direction is changing to a side wind as well. It's been very much a headwind until this point, and so in fact some of the look like palm olives, don't they? There, we're just about to make a turn. There's a very ancient road here underneath the woodland area, which is absolutely beautiful. You can see it just hooking away onto the left-hand side. Yeah, ancient sort of, I guess, trading route. Right now, of course, a very different feel to this. This is that long drag that we were telling you about that will get you to the 26 to go marker. And we were speculating that this may well start to be a little bit of an attack point for somebody out of the pack. I think the wind's probably going to neutralise that. So they'll all come on a mass descent and then run into Fethiye with the curves therein that we'll tell you about. As soon as they get to the peak here, then at least they'll be able to put some power back into their legs. So the terrain today begs a quick finish. They'll grind up this because of the wind, and as you can see, they really are grinding it, aren't they? I'm afraid. What, about 28 kilometres an hour? Nobody really fancies it because they want the power later on. Nobody wants to go on the duties out front. And so unfortunately, those two poor souls who are still up the road just having to keep turning the pedals here. This is Samley, who looks like he's just coming back to the car, not quite sure why. Zorlar, we're just exiting right now, and it's still cagey up front. Look at this. Eugenio Alfacci with his challenging looking moustache is still on the front. He's been very busy all day for his teammates. For Trek Segafredo, and look at the billowing trees here. Looks like Christmas tree harvest hasn't quite gone into full swing just yet. Minute 41 then, they'll come up to this rather exposed peak, and then we'll start descending. We're on high ground here, Brian, and it's a bit of a ski jump all the way into town, quite a long one actually. We've got about 20 k's of descending.
Yes, it's the wind that's really hampering the riders all day. It's been predominantly into their faces, cross headwinds, and you know, that's what's taking the pace down. You can just see the pace at the left-hand side of the screen. But this is where you have to be very attentive, because the stage of 206 kilometres in length, we're inside the last 30 kilometres, so the riders have already been a lot of kilometres behind them. Adds into yesterday's stage. That's when the concentration levels start to go down, and that's as a team manager, when you get to this stage, 30 kilometres to go, it's trying to switch some of the riders on, concentrate, because if you get caught out, like Chernetsky is already out the race courtesy of a spill earlier on. So we may see some of the riders, when they see the 25 kilometres to go, start to come towards the front, start thinking about it, start to switch on. And as we see from Leopold Koenig sitting in second place, you still have to eat the whole way, but you're not just eating for today, you're eating for tomorrow and the day after. Yep,
well, Leo Koenig yesterday did a lot of work on the front and then just kind of sat up. For him, I guess, almost fortunate that there was an incident which knocked out his deficit, but so keeps him alive overall. But there's our leader, Sam Bennett in the blue, the turquoise jersey. You can see that he was just riding alongside Roberto Silva of Brasil. There are the men in Tangerine. I thought they'd get a bit lively at a moment like this, but they're struggling to get back together. Franciszek Zizzer and Jonas Koch for CCC Sprandi Polkovici will be involved in the sprint. Koch finished 8th yesterday. The aforementioned Zerlo, by the way, had a good finish yesterday, finished in 4th place for the United Arab Emirates. This is in the absence of Marco Kumpf, but the fact that they had 2 in the top 10 and Kumpf was on the deck showed how strong they were. They knew he was down and just basically raced on without him. They've got him today. I don't know whether he bounced on the deck yesterday and how much of a body shock he took. So it may well be that Zerlo has another dig today and it's Kumpf that swaps duties for him, but you never know. Our 2 breakaway men have 1:51. It's expanded just a little bit because of the lack of will to invest in the climb in a headwind amongst the quick men's teams, of which Trek Segafredo and Bora Hansgrohe are the principals. Who's your pick today? We're going to stick with Sam Bennett and then go for a cheeky side bet.
Yeah, I think Sam Bennett, Towns, I think it'll be the 2 favourites for today, with Sam Bennett, I think edging this one. So I think Ben Fato, courtesy of getting in the right place at the right time. Sprints are always a bit of a lottery, and I think looking at the riders that we've got, I think Bennett from Towns, but I really think that Minali could to ride well today, because they've now lost Chernetsky, and I think the fact that losing Chernetsky, everything will be in for Minali today to try and deliver and pick up the team morale.
Yeah, I think so. And watch out for people like Dimitri Gruzdev and Jesper Hansen tomorrow, the big Dane. You just saw him towards the front a few moments ago as well. But yeah, Sergei Chernetsky taking a tumble, getting a nasty knock to the chin by the looks of things, and was in no hurry to get back on the bike, and in fact was declared medically absent from the race just a short while ago. So Sergei Chernetsky is out, I'm afraid, having taken a fall, but that means a reassembly of Astana's game plan. Maybe still thinking about Jesper Hansen overall, but Minali for today, most certainly, with the gap now just under 1:50. They've crested. It's time to start thinking about our finish. Well, we're making a big turn. The wind, though, is still causing a nuisance. The next 20 Ks are going to disappear reasonably quickly. The terrain is going to be the master of the pace. And in fact, it'll pick up to about 40, a little bit more than that, kilometres an hour before we get to the out-and-out sprinting pace a little bit later. But just for the now, Androniev said, you know what, all right, we will come and do a little bit of work. There was some discussion going on from Bora saying, we're not doing all this just so you can mug us at the end. Ben Fato was clearly a good man yesterday. He's clearly going to be a good man again today, so they're helping out.
Yeah, that sometimes happens, that when you've got a good result the day before, you put some effort towards the front. You can just see the rider that was on the deck, Frapporte up there, he's got a little bit of damage and swelling to his left wrist, but he's back up front, willing to help. Whether we see some other riders get up there in the top 3 today, I think we will, because sprinting is a bit of a lottery, but I think the strongest team in a lead out will be for Sam Bennett and Bora Hansgrohe. They've only kind of used up Michael Schwarzman and Leopold Koenig, same as yesterday, which leaves them plenty of opportunities to help out. We've seen Milberger sprint for one of the intermediates to try and take that 1 second bonus, but it will be definitely all in for the Irishman Sam Bennett to try and take his second win. But I'm sure that Trek Segafredo would try their hardest. They were the team that done probably the best lead out yesterday, but Shane Archibald put Sam in the right place at the right time, and he delivered a nice win for them. But today's another day, and there's plenty of opportunities for many of the others. But when we talk about Astana, Minali's there, then we've got Caja Prades was up there yesterday, Koch was there for CCC, whether they go with Sistri or Koch, who was up there in the end. And then Androni had Ben Fato, they've also got Gavazzi. Quila Tristina had Balletti, Manuel Balletti. UAE had Consoni and Zurlo. So there's plenty of opportunities, but I'm sure that a lot of teams would have looked at this run-in. Maybe, an opportunity inside the last 4 kilometres, when it gets a little bit kind of technical, we may see some counter-attacks.
Well, some rain in the hills, but thankfully it looks like we're going to finish dry today. Do get the odd spectacular thunderstorm in these parts, but it doesn't usually last long. And again, we are heading towards winter. Just checking on Pro Cycling Stats. Go and have a look at it, by the way. It's a great site, procyclingstats.com. You click on the races, pick your race, and then you'll find yourself a start list. Makes us sound brighter than we are sometimes. But yeah, they're a terrific site, well worth supporting. So go and have a look at them. But yeah, Tour of China 2, a couple of stages taken by Ben Fato, who finished second yesterday. He's in the green points jersey, by the way, nursing that on behalf of Sam Bennett, who's wearing the blue turquoise jersey. So if you see green and blue popping up late on, it may not necessarily be Caja or Astana, but those two guys in our leading jerseys here. But yeah, he's had some good sprint results, mainly out east, but also went well in the Tour de l'Ain. Just edged off the podium on stage 2 to San Vulbas, the day that Nacer Bouhanni took it. So Nacer Bouhanni, Samuel Dumoulin, Maxi Daniel Bonfazzo, but he also beat Lobato, he beat Jeff Soup, Napolitano. Some quick men he's finished in front of this year, and yesterday he was brilliantly well positioned, the man from Androni Zijdemek. And so I suspect he might well have another dig, because he's used to doing back-to-back performances, as he did in China, on the podium 3 days in a row, in fact taking 2 wins during that little golden spell. And it might well be that he's minded to go again. That race completed not that long ago. In fact, it was September, end of September. So he's on good form, and he showed it yesterday as well with the runners-up to spot to Sam Bennett and beating Edward Theuns. So yeah, I think Marco Benfato will definitely be your man again today. He's got Marco and Mattia Frapporti as lead-out, along with David Ballerini. So it's a quality lead-out group as well, and kind of he was unfortunately off our radars until yesterday, but very much at the forefront of our thoughts today to challenge Sam Bennett, Edward Theuns, Marco Kumpf if he's on good form, but probably going to be Federico Zerlo, Zizar and Koch from Sprandi, Prades from Caja Rural, Orkan from the Turkish team, Minali from Astana, and Manuel Belletti from Wilier Triestina. Belletti just getting in the top 10 yesterday, but was nudged apparently during the fall, and so lost most of his lead-out train, so expect a little bit more from Belletti today. 21.3 kilometres to go, Brian. We're getting to the business end today at last.
Yeah, they're just taking the commissaire referee's car out in the neutral service. You can just see it's still a motorbike just behind the Shimano service car. A little bit early, I think, with the 51 seconds still in front, but they are coming back. The peloton don't really want to bring them back too soon. They will bring them back possibly within the last 10 kilometres, not unless they sit up, because the last thing the team of Bora Hansgrohe and Trek Segafredo want is the counter-attacks to start happening, and that will happen as soon as these riders are brought back. We've already seen the intermediate sprint when the riders got all excited, and there was some counter-attacks, and Trek Segafredo and Bora had to come up very quickly to nullify everything. So the riders from Trek, Alfacci at the front and Michael Schwarzman now for Bora Hansgrohe, will just keep a steady rhythm, keep them just kind of hanging out front and bring them back slowly into the last kind of 10 or maybe down to 5 kilometres to go. That would be a perfect scenario for them.
Just wondering who the choice is going to be for Gazprom, because they're up towards the 4, whether who it is that they are going to be working for. Pavel Brook perhaps? Nikolai Trusov is their principal, but Porsev, their fastest man, has gone. But Gazprom look lively. We'll see how they go. Ida Arslanov has gone well in the past, likewise. Just over 20 kilometres to go for the 2 men in the break, the last remnants of what's been a busy time for them. They had a soulmate, as it were, along with them out front in the form of Onur Balkan, the Turkish champion, but he disappeared quite quickly. The vectoring is being enjoyed, I think it's fair to say, by our paragliders. at the moment. And indeed, look at this, it's absolutely glorious. Now, if that's not inviting, Brian, a quick dip later on, what is?
Yeah, exactly. Just look at the seas here, very clear, and it's very relaxed as well. So yeah, a lovely part of the world, as we keep on saying. But yeah, the racing might not be of great interest for the moment anyway in today's stage, but certainly the area is.
Yeah, the area most definitely is, and frankly, they're going to get busy before you know it. They've got a little bit more of a pace about them, but so has the chase, and in fact, we're still heading downhill as we head towards harbour side, and indeed the water's edge, back down towards sea level then. But with 19.4 to go, it's time to start getting your battle plans sorted out. This could be a reasonably lazy approach for about the next 4 or 5 Ks.
Well, I think it will, maybe more. It really depends on the peloton behind, because they know it's going to be a sprint. How can they outfox the likes of Trek Segafredo, Bora Hansgrohe, and now Androni? It's going to be very difficult. So I think if there's going to be any skirmishes, it's going to be very late in the day, and it's going to be very difficult to try and hold off a fairly fresh-ish peloton, and I think that's why they're going to leave it really, really late. So Michael Schwarzman at the front, Alfacci. Alfacci's been on the front for the last 2 days really, and controlling things. So he's going to obviously feel a little bit tired, but he's got certainly other riders behind him that are going to take up the tempo as well.
Frapporti doing a brave job here. He's the man who's with the strapped left wrist. We're hoping that he's okay. He's doing the power work for Androni Zeidemek at the moment, just eating into it. And here is our glorious leader. There is Sam Bennett, checks behind, just see who's around. He's looking for Shane Archbold. There he is, with his mullet caught in the wind. And here come Veran's Classic. Well, they lost Justin Jules, but who will they be working for today? Not sure, but Rilia Triestino will definitely be working for Belletti. Indeed, the men with the yellow, black, and red sort of scarlet breast to them. They are looking slightly cagey as well. A lot of conversation going on at the moment as Archbold speaks to Gregor Mühlberger, the Austrian champion, and Astana just drift through. This is for Riccardo Minali. This is getting busy, and everyone's getting into a position to counteract a late move by others, Brian. This is about just knocking back the ambitions of those around you.
I think this is coming from the sports directors behind, telling them, look, we're coming into the outskirts of Feccia, start to move up now. We're inside the last 20 kilometres. The breakaway is going to come back. Watch out for this, watch out for that. And, the riders that have kind of fallen asleep a little bit for most of the day today are now being brought wide awake by their sports directors shouting in their ear to move up towards the front, and that's why we're seeing some of the riders slowly but surely coming up from different teams.
Yeah, indeed. Nikolai Trusov just bumped yesterday, finished around about 12th, 13th place. He's getting himself into position with Gazprom. Pavel Brut's a good time trialist who can guide him a little bit. I think he'll be acting as something of a lead out today. Sergei Furzanov also not bad at a moment such as this. So don't be surprised if you see the Gazprom boys having a dig. They're the ones who might be tempted to go just before it starts getting unwinds to an out-and-out flat sprint. We'll see, because they've lost a lot of firepower with Alexander Porsov, I'm afraid, for a straight battle in that regard. Look at this. Everyone's still looking at each other. They're sort of pretending to get aero at the moment, as if they're racing, but they're not. They're even smiling at each other, Brian. Everyone knows the game.
But that was Pavel Brut in the front in the dark blue. He's the kind of team captain, the most experienced rider, coming up to the front and just having a bit of a laugh with Alfacci. So everybody's been told, come on guys, move up to the front, be aware, watch this, watch that, and it's pretty much all across the road. They've been told to ride on the front, but they're riding 6 abreast.
Yeah, they are. So they've kind of done the job as far as their team director is concerned. It's a lockout of the men in Tangerine. In fact, the bright lights that sunshine that we've got today, their bikes really do start to fizz in dull light, of which we had some yesterday, through some of the wooded sections. Wide open it is today, and so will the throttle be, I think, for the fast men. 30 seconds only for our breakaway. They've done a good job considering the effort that they had to put into today, Brian. I think they slowed down on occasion, but likewise their pace was matched by the peloton who were minded to have a sprint today, not anything else.
Well, outside of a race, these riders do this day in, day out. Yep. This is training pace for them. Averaging 33 kilometres an hour. Well, this young man is racing along next to them and doing a very good job. But they've been doing a good job. I think Maestre has done a very good job to take that King of the Mountains jersey. But I think anybody in this race could have been in that breakaway today. They come under team orders, and team orders say whether you go in the breakaway or not, whether there's a competition to be had, whether some publicity to be had, and I'm afraid that today started off with the Turkish champion being in the breakaway with Maestre and Turkish champion Balkan, just thinking of that beauty sprint. He took that beauty sprint, he dropped back into the peloton, done a very good thing, and he was caught with 78 kilometres to go to the finish, so he's had the opportunity to sit in the peloton, and then Afonso joined Maestre in front, and they've been in front ever since the 105 to go when Afonso joined them.
Interesting, isn't it? We've got a little bit of kidology going on at the moment with Gazprom and Astana sort of sharing a little joke, but very, very serious is Sam Bennett. He's the leader of this race. He wants to be the leader by an extended margin at the end of today, and he's the one that's getting twitchy in there.
Yeah, I think you have to, as a sprinter, you have to kind of switch on. That's the difficulty, that he'll be judged in the last 250 metres. He won't be judged on the 206 kilometre stage. It's the 250 metres in it, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. The pressure starts to build up in the sprinters, and they have to deliver. They've had teammates ride on the front yesterday and today, and they have to deliver, and the pressure is right on them.
Yep, absolutely. Billowing flag tells you the wind. Well, the wind is still out here. It's ebbed a little bit, and we're now down towards the flat, as you can see. And so we'll get on to the water's edge. The pace is picking up, but nothing too serious at the moment. But you can see it's getting less of a laughing matter. Starting to get into serious mode. We're in colour order for the big approach. This is going to be a very, very rapid finish on what's been a very slow day.
Yeah, we hope so.
It will be.
But Michael Schwarzman still at the front on the left-hand side for Bora Hansgrohe. You can see Veron Classic in the bright yellow. They lost Justin Jules yesterday, but they were involved with a little skirmish after the intermediate sprint, so they'll be thinking of something. The turquoise of Astana, the dark blue of Gazprom, and the Brazil team are also up near the front. So it's, as we keep on saying, the calm before the storm. When the storm is going to start to rain,
reveal itself.
Yes, exactly. when the storm is going to happen, I think it's going to be in the last 5 kilometres.
Well, I think you might be right. The way it's going at the moment, the last 5k, you can really open it up. There's a technical double turn at 4. Really, at around now on a normal day, in a busy middle of a busy season, I think we'd already have an approach pace which is well into the sort of late 40s, 50s. But we haven't got that at the moment, partially due to the wind, which has knocked everyone back. And also, it's almost like an agreement between the teams. We can duke this out in the last 5k and have our fun then. Why do we want to exhaust ourselves on an approach? Tomorrow is a battling day. It's where a breakaway could have some fun. I'm expecting that to be a fascinating one. It's just 129 kilometres. That's going to draw out an entirely different race than we've had today, Brian.
Yeah, I think it'll be chalk and cheese. I think there'll be plenty of action tomorrow stage. And, looking at the stage of tomorrow, it's, a really interesting one. And, a couple of stiff climbs towards the end before a rapid descent into town. And I think there will be a selection. But for sure, it's going to be a faster stage. And 128 kilometres will just seem like a doddle to the stage today of 206.
I think they're palm olives as opposed to pampas grass, but we are swinging into the harbour side today. 20 seconds only is the gap, and just looking through this group right now, you can see everyone's in colour order and nobody's smiling anymore, because this is where it all gets rather serious. Sam Bennett is the out-and-out favourite. He looks like he's ready for action. His team are in good order as well. He's got the Austrian champion Mühlberger well embedded. He will have Archibald at the very last, will Sam Bennett, but Schwarzman's doing a lot of the driving work for them. Mattia Palucchi as well looks lively, and these guys look behind, and it'll be handshakes for this pair, I'm afraid, fairly soon. Still over 12 kilometres to go. We're not at the flat harbour side just yet, and the road's just picking up again, I'm afraid, for these guys. And in the headwind, it's not a pleasant place to be, I'm afraid. It will turn into a bit more of a tail before they get to the line, but it's the wind that they've had to cope with today, as well as everything else, including a very rough road surface, which has smoothed out, thankfully. If you look at their arms here, they're not jiggling as they have been for much of the day. There'll be some tired legs and maybe some tired minds, but they've got to get their focus, Brian. You don't want to do anything silly and throw it away, as we had yesterday at the very last.
Well, that's the thing. You can sit in a bunch all day, but you have to switch yourself on towards the end and look after your sprinter and get it right, because it's all about positioning. And yesterday, Androni's rider, Ben Fato, got positioning very well and a creditable second place. Whether he can do that again 2 days in the hop, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, all the riders are being told, you have to do this, you have to be at the front, watch for this on the run-in, and it's about concentration now. So as we go back to the front of the peloton, you'll see the riders not smiling as much. They'll see the 10 kilometres to go, now to switch on, concentrate. And again, all of these sprinters will be judged on the last 200, 250 metres today.
Yeah, it's where, as a DS, you're offering up encouragement and instruction, just trying to switch people's minds on, and basically just get the focus where it needs to be. And just you can see as well, the pace has now really picked up. These guys are going to get caught just shy of the 12 marker. Get out, we're coming through. Don't mess this one up. That was the word. And look at the pace right now. This is proper, and really Triestina are going to have a bit of today. Baron Class are going to do a lot of approach work, but Villiers just tucked in behind them, and I think this could well be a good day for Manuel Belletti as an outside pick, if you're accepting that Sam Bennett versus Edward Tones is likely to be the main party. Right, well, job done as far as avoiding or absorbing the breakaway. Race Radio has just declared all together, and indeed the race commissaire just gets into his car. The Tour of Turkey presidential race is about to reignite here as we run into Fethiye, one of the most beautiful places, by the way, on this part of the Turkish coastline. And just look, they're starting to grind into it. It's very, very battle face on at the moment.
Yeah, it's picking up a lot now. No smiling faces, and they're all in order and all concentrating. We're going to swing left very soon and head towards the coast, and we'll follow the coast all the way into town. And we do have a corner just over 500 metres to go, a right-hander, and then they'll set themselves up for a sprint finish.
Yep, it's a nasty sort of switchback really that they will have, and in fact they'll have the assistance of the wind for the first time today, and so the approach pace will just be at its very, very highest. Noticed in the red jersey is number 112, Enrico Barbin, and he's no slouch either for Bardiani. So all jerseys could be represented at the front here. 10.4 kilometres remaining of today. You take your vantage points where you can get them at a moment such as this. I hope they don't get blown off by the helicopter right now. That looks a bit sketchy. Don't try it at home, kids. But nonetheless, there's your highway, and we're just about to make the turn by the minarets of the beautiful mosque that heads up and will announce the switchback in 10 Ks to go marker just about to come. And look at Astana, they've been joshing with Gazprom, not anymore. The joshing turning to jostling in a few moments time, you can be sure of that. A lot of road to play with, that can draw out its own problems, as we saw yesterday, Brian. A lot of lines to choose, and it can be a script of disaster, I'm afraid.
Yeah, there's some teams sitting back, allowing the other teams to buff the wind in front of them, and they're taking shelter. Still just over 9 kilometres to go now. A lot of riders starting to hurt riding into this wind at this pace, but they've been told what to do. They've been told to ride on the front, and I think you can, like a little similar to yesterday, you can afford to sit back a little bit. There's plenty of road space. It's not as if we go into a narrow road soon, and I think it's just about staying safe, staying together. And if you're sitting back a little bit now, I don't think it's a major problem.
Here's your big turn then. You'd better take it nicely, and best place to be is out front. This is a clever piece of work potentially by Bora Hansgrohe. It may well just have been caught out of position. We'll see. Centre of the road near the raised road furniture is Gazprom powering into this one. This will be for Nikolai Trusev, I believe. Trek have stayed wise, and indeed Handsome on the right hand side of the road. CCC Sprandi are looking over their shoulders, can't reassemble themselves at the moment. Astana looking very good. This is for Riccardo Minali, and indeed UAE start to power through. Is Marco Kumpf going to be the chosen son today, or will they just back into Zerlo, who went so well yesterday? So UAE with their familiar red helmets there on the right hand side of your screen in the largely black and white. Meanwhile, Trek with the white helmets also sporting red, just rubbing shoulders here with the blue of Astana. Crowded out for now at Bora Hansgrohe. They've got to make amends. Here is your big turn that will take us now back down towards Harbourside as we run in. Still some rises to the terrain before we actually get to the water's edge, as you can see. And but still ground to play with, and moving into that position, Trek Segafredo on the right-hand side of the road. That's Ludovic Robit, who looks like he is done for the day. 8.1 kilometres to go. Some good approach work by him, but look at the grind and look at their elbows here. Back to rough road surface. And I'm afraid the chatter coming through the bars, they'll get to a smoother surface as CCC Sprandi do indeed start to move into position. Well, at long last, Zizzer and Koch may well have their fun. Koch finished 8th yesterday, would like a better finish today. This is going to be pacey, Brian.
Yeah, we just did it rose up a little bit there on this new road, and it's going to drop down all the way onto the coast road now. But Trek Segafredo just doing the right thing and keeping trying safe. It's all about remaining safe at this moment in time for the World Tour teams. You can still afford to sit back for a couple of kilometres. Plenty of road space, as we've already mentioned, in the run in towards town. And if you use too many of your teammates now, then you might be caught out of position.
CCC look very, very threatening. Maybe it's just the bright orange, which in the shadows seem to just fizz, effervesce. On the right-hand side of your screen, UAE still busy, and in fact some cooling water, some bidons being emptied onto necks at the moment. That can be a big wake-up, a bit like just a slap on the back of the neck, which some coaches are given to doing. We don't advise it. 7.1 kilometres then, and the charge is now on. We're not at full on approach pace, but Bora have dug themselves a place to the dead centre, and indeed Sam Bennett is in a great place right now. He's just off the right hand side of your picture. You'll see him in the leader's blue jersey. He's just lined in with Astana at the moment, just screened by them. The screens offered up by the buildings here are suddenly about to disappear, as they'll have a proper view by the time we get onto the harbour side. They'll have a quick look in about 1,500 metres time. Then we just jink inland a bit before that double curve, coming with about 3.8 to go. It will be a nasty right-hander and a left, which will bring us to about 3.6 remaining, and then it's largely straight to the line, except for that last curve at around about the 550 metre mark, where they will take a right-hander, and then it will really be pacey by the time we get to the line. Still not at full charge yet.
Yeah, it's still spread across the roads. It's like this.
Oh, bumps and bruises, right dead centre. And that's Gazprom making a nuisance of themselves, and I'm afraid partially because of this. That's Trusov, who would have been the chosen son. He's thrown a chain for Gazprom. That's them done. I think that may well have been part of the knock a few moments ago. It shows the pace. The rest of them have just disappeared. So the ill fortune that had Alexander Porsov yesterday, I'm afraid, has befallen Trusov for Gazprom. No laughing matter for them then at all, and it opens up wide dead centre. Somebody's going to be tempted to go up the middle, and Gazprom it is that start to fill that, and likewise our leader Sam Bennett is in the middle here. Well, shows you at any moment you can get a few nudges, and it can be reflected through the pack, and in fact you can have the same sort of incident that we had late on yesterday. It's not going to help Trusov, I'm afraid, because it's come at 5.3 kilometres to go. The 3K rule is about the approach. They've expanded that, of course, for safety reasons. There is Trek at the moment on the right hand side, Astana on the left of the road, as you can see, UAE embedded, and Bora just sharing the duties alongside. That's the Austrian champion in the whitish looking jersey, but you can see the blue turquoise jersey along that line of black and white, and indeed number 22 riding almost the yellow line at the moment is Sam Bennett. This is going to be a very, very busy approach, as a lot will go freestyle. Others have got lead out men to lean on, and Trek, Bora and UAE are looking the best teams at the moment.
I think it's going to be a very messy sprint. You've got to remember, okay, 206 kilometres, but a lot of the riders have been sitting the wheels a long day. They've now switched on with about 10 kilometres to go as soon as we come into town. And people think that they've got it in their legs, they've got it in their team to try and deliver the win, and this is going to be potentially a very different sprint from yesterday.
That's Koch, the lead man in the orange for CCC Sprandi. He's going to be working for Franciszek Zizzer at the moment. You can see Zizzer, he's just behind the white jersey of the Austrian champion Gregor Mühlberger. I think he may well be. The men in orange have got an option today. Going early, Willia Triestina. This is at 4.1. We've got these double turns about to come for you. We haven't been through them just yet, despite what you may think. In fact, the first is a right-hander, so you might see them drift to the left-hand side of the road in order to open up that entry into that curve in a few moments' time. Bit of a compression as well. We've gone from 3 lanes down to 2, and here comes that right-hander right now we were telling you about. Good work by Willia. They've stayed safe. Now, where is our leader, Sam Bennett? A little bit disengaged just for the time being. He's got time to get back, though. But 3.6, this road is running out for everybody.
Yeah, just turning left. So that's the kind of major corners they dealt with until we get to just over 500 metres to go. Wheeler, Tristina are at the front, but at the front very, very early. 3.4 to go. Sam Bennett, the race leader, is still in a very good position up towards the front. He's still got a couple of teammates behind and round about him, but that's the problem here. Because of the couple of corners, there's a lot of riders being disengaged, and they have to really get together now, get control and get in their formation, because these last 3.2 kilometres will go very quickly. Yeah,
they will. This is more or less straight now. We've dealt with those curves. You see the parkland on the right-hand side of your screen here. That's where the water side is, and indeed as they drift over to the left it opens up space, and that's filled almost magically by Trek Segafredo here. Bora just struggling to get themselves back on terms, but Sam Bennett is right there, and in fact he's locked in with the Trek boys. Here come UAE on the right hand side of the road, but still the pace is neutralising them at the moment, and still CCC Sprandi working for Franciszek Zizzer, and he's got 2 teammates in front of him at the moment, and they are bossing the lines in this last phase of what's been a long day today. 2.5 to go.
Yeah, they're now in position, but they don't want to take it on with 2.5 kilometres to go. So Trek Segafredo in the red and the black, just happy to sit behind the riders from CCC in orange. Veren Classic in the yellow, just trying to come up now and to lead out, but Trek playing a cagey game now, just keeping the powder dry, allowing the other riders to deliver, because they still have 4 riders in front of Edward Toynes.
Here's Androni moving up through as well as they ring the changes amongst the CCC Sprandy boys. Ben Fato is in the red jersey. The Red King of the Mountains jersey is actually being brought into position, and still they keep the pace high, CCC Sprandy here. But UAE is that come through. Marco Kumpf potentially for them, but I think possibly Zerlo after Kumpf's failure yesterday. We'll see. Still grinding into this, Ben Fato. You can see his green shorts here with the red jersey, just to the edge of Belletti, who's going to go freestyle for Villa Triestina with the scarlet and yellow shoulders. And Bora want to boss this. 1,600 metres to go, and they're scrambling to get back into position. They're still there and in a decent one, and Sam Bennett in the leader's turquoise jersey is being dragged up here. Wow, 1,400 metres remaining then. Don't forget this big turn, Brian, that comes in about a kilometre's time, a little bit less than that, about 800 metres. That's the first race they've got here.
Yeah, this is a real battle, and it's Trek Segafredo at the front, just behind UAE are in a position. Wheeler are also up there. I think Bora Hansgrohe and Sam Bennett just sitting behind, doing a very good job. He's in a very good position. Gazprom coming up in the left in the blue.
Yeah, you can see Bora then. There is Sam Bennett, your first real look. See as moving into position. Shane Archibald does a fantastic job. There's the Flamme Rouge. Well, it's Trek that are leading out at the moment. Will they get the timing all wrong? Still hanging in there is Sam Bennett. More than that, he looks quite cool, calm and collected. Manuel Belletti is on his shoulder at the moment for Villa Triestina. Oh, and a jink between Belletti and Sam Bennett there. Oh, a little bit of feistiness, and it's Trek Segafredo who are picking this one up. Here's your turn. Now, this is the last of them. It opens up, and then you get a free look at the finish line that starts to beckon here. Trek in a great place, but Sam Bennett's also here. He's going to go freestyle. He's disposed with his teammates. Sam Bennett in third place at the moment. He's trailing Edward Toynes. It looks like it's going to be a battle between those two. Toynes has a look over his shoulder. He sees him there. Benefato is also being led out here by Gavazzi. Gavazzi getting himself into a decent position. Now it's all freestyle, and Sam Bennett goes shoulder to shoulder. Benefato is also in the frame here, but it looks like it's going to be Sam Bennett again. He's out of the line. Oh, what a piece of class that is. Punches the air and says, thank you very much, as if anything else was going to happen today. Good work.
Yeah, doubles up there, came up at the right time, had to kind of push and shove to get in the right position, but it was a really messy sprint. I think Trek Segafredo done the perfect job for Toynes, but unfortunately for Toynes, he came up against a faster man in the finish. Looked like Minali was up there in the top 3, but a nice finish. You can just see Sam Bennett having a words with the Villa Triestina rider there, not happy with Belletti, or Belletti not happy with him. So that's sprinting for you. It was fast, it was furious, and this man doubles up.
Belletti was so busy arguing with him, he almost crashed into the cord and ducked just in time. There were some shoulders in there. Amazing job indeed. Sam Bennett, well, he had the poker face on early, didn't he? And he stood tall, and he leads this race now by an enhanced margin after doubling up 2 stage wins, 2 sets of 10 seconds bonus. He'll be in the turquoise tomorrow. Good work.
A very good job by the team today. Long, hard stage, frantic in the end. Everybody had kind of fresh-ish legs. Trek Segafredo coming up, they knew they wanted to be at the front into that last corner, and at this stage they had 3 riders in front of Toynes, and I thought that was enough. And you can just see Belletti on the left-hand side in the yellow-black. You just see them, Sam Bennett. He wants the wheel of Toynes, just pushes him off it. Interesting one. He just pushed Belletti off Toynes' wheel. He knew that Toynes was the wheel to be on. He didn't want Belletti on it, so just shoulder barges him out the way. And I think that's why Belletti was unhappy with that situation there with Sam Bennett. But Sam Bennett just kicking back at the moment. You can also see yesterday's second place, Ben Fato was right up there in the green jersey. But at this stage, it was Boy Van Poppel leading out as Androni started to come. Still a long way to go. Toynes then leads out. He leads out with 200 metres to go, but just look at Bennett. There's only going to be one winner here. He is the fastest man, and just look at Minali coming up here to steal 3rd place. But Toynes takes a 2nd, Minali 3rd, with Ben Fato, the green jersey, in 4th.
Wow, great ride, and a busy one. I'm afraid that Manuel Belletti was not happy about that. I wonder if there may well be a referee's ruling on this one. It's one for the commissaires, I think. Just losing a bit of drive there. Marco Bonfatto on the Chattery road surface, as you can see. I think he may well have actually faded to fifth,
Yeah, looks
with
like
with a late charge coming in from UAE. But terrific win again by Sam Bennett. We wait for it to be confirmed because of the shoulder work out there, but as they say, Brian, all's fair in love, war and sprinting.
That's sprinting for you. It was a shoulder battling for the wheel, and obviously Belletti was pushed off the wheel of two of them are going. It's 50-50, and Sam Bennett just used his strength to keep the wheel and take the win.
A real Brian Smith finish that was, got to say. Sam Bennett, this is the unofficial result, by the way, but I think it'll stand. Sam Bennett then doubles up, finishing ahead of Edward Turns, Minali. Bonfatto did in fact finish in the 4th place, ahead of Consoni from the United Arab Emirates. Belletti, Ballerini, Orkan, good finish by the 19-year-old from Turkey. Zizir cutting it in 9th place, and Jordi Zimon rounding out your top 10, but Sam Bennett makes it 2. He is our leader here in Turkey as we ride on. 2 bike lengths. That's an emphatic victory for Sam Bennett. It shows the kind of form that he is on. Well won.
Yeah, it was. I think unless he's well out of position, crash or anything, he was always going to be the favourite for today's stage after yesterday's win, and who knows, he could go on to win another couple of more stages.
There's your heads up. Absolutely glorious approach, and the determined drive of Sam Bennett was not to be headed. The leader's blue jersey crossing the line first, and indeed by a handsome margin by the time he got there.